I asked my fiance to limit interactions with his female colleague. He refused.
What a cool guy.
I am female, 25, and have been dating my fiance, male 26, for 2 years now. We have always been very happy together and got engaged this summer and are very excited to get married and start a family. By the way, this comes from user BogBoyFProblems on the r/OK Storytime. So, however, we've recently gotten into a major argument over his interactions with his colleague, and he's currently sleeping on the couch over it. A little bit of a background. In college, my fiance was involved with a girl, now 24, he'd met online and then started hooking up with. I only know this stuff because we've had a couple of conversations about each other's first, so she came up. My fiance was the stereotypical frat boy womanizer in college. From what I've heard, she was more academically inclined and they didn't have much in common. He apparently took her virginity her freshman year, and then they hooked up a few more times the next year, and she took his butt virginity. She seemed to want more and cut him off a few times that year, but always came back and then worked near each other the summer after he graduated, and they slept together a lot. After they lost touch but kept following each other on Instagram, I made him unfollow when we got serious. Obviously, it didn't bother me to know that he had a life before me. She did bother me a little, though, because he usually trash talks his exes, but spoke pretty positively of her and said things like that she cared about more than just her looks, and he had more depth, or she had more depth, and other BS like that, and that she had a great body and was great in bed. Is the past, and they weren't in contact. That is, until my fiance got a new job a couple of months ago. He's in finance and got a job for a quantum trading type of company and is on a team that is partially made up of computer scientists, and she is one of them. He told me right away, so I knew he was being transparent and wasn't too worried. However, he's been working very closely with her as she's been helping him get up to speed on some computer stuff. His team also does a lot of team building type of stuff, like happy hours, and so they end up spending a lot of time together, which wouldn't necessarily bother me, but he started becoming actual friends with her and mentioning her more and more, always in complimentary ways. I was a little miffed, but still not worried, because I have seen pictures of her and she's not really incredibly conventionally attractive and isn't really my fiance's type. I don't really trust her considering how she acted with him in the past, but from her social media, she seemed to be pretty low-key and not really do much or be very well liked. Yesterday, the team was going to happy hour and my fiance invited me for the first time, and of course, she was there. Could you imagine, like, your fiance took my virginity, but I took his behind virginity.
I took his second virginity.
I took his second virginity. The number 2 virginity.
Yeah,
That's so weird.
Can you imagine her bringing that up unprompted? Like, that's amazing.
That's so weird.
Oh my God, yeah.
Meeting her and seeing her and my fiance interact really changed my mind. First off, she was in person way more attractive than on her social media. Not exactly pretty, but very cute, admittedly with a great body. She was also clearly really well liked by everyone on her team, all men. She made a lot of jokes they all laughed at and always had something to say. Her and my fiance also clearly had some inside jokes and were having a blast together. There's some inside jokes. None of it was exactly inappropriate, but it did make me feel like crap to watch my fiance so happy to hang out with another woman. He also ordered her a couple of drinks, and she didn't even ask. All she had to do was look at him and then at the bar, and he knew what to do, and her order and everything. She also hadn't brought anyone, so I assume she's single. When we got home, I told my fiance in no unequivocal terms that he had to limit his contact with her because it made me feel very uncomfortable. He basically just said no, and that she was his colleague and that he would get fired if he had stopped interacting with her just because his fiance was jealous. He also said that they've never spent time one-on-one and that he was just doing what he needed to do for work. The fight escalated from there, and we now aren't talking, which is really great considering he went to work with her today. And then they all went to another happy hour tonight.
Wait, was OP asking him to, like, completely shut her out of work? Because it's like, you gotta understand, if he's going to work, it's like
OP just asked to limit his contact with her because it.
okay.
It's
Okay,
like
I just wanted to make
uncomfortable.
because it sounded like the way that she phrased that, like that she had said that they can't work together.
You don't have to go to happy hour every night.
It's true. Yeah.
You don't have
That's
to go
true.
to happy hour. You can go have happy hour with your partner and not
Exactly.
your work team. You can go out to dinner with your partner. I mean,
Yes.
it's not mandatory to go to happy hour
With your ex
with your ex.
that you constantly talked up.
You have. It seems like you want to go to happy hour to hang out with your ex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sorry, OP. This is a real bad situation.
He still isn't back, and I'm not sure if he'll be back tonight. He's being very resistant, and it's making me wonder if I was wrong. So, was I the a-hole, or am I just being reasonable in protecting my relationship? There is an update, but let's talk.
No, I think you were being reasonable. I think that there could be a reality in which you guys have a conversation and you come to the conclusion that like what happened between them is in the past, and maybe you can be comfortable with it,
Yeah.
with them having a friendship. But the fact that your partner's not giving you the space to even have that conversation, I think speaks for itself.
The fact that he's making excuses and is like, this is work. This is work. I have to go to happy hour every night and be with her and like be giddy with her and, you know,
Psychically communicating
getting with her.
Like, it's a little too close for comfort after everything that's been said.
You don't have to go. Just if she's part of the team, that's fine. I get it. And you have team meetings and team workplaces and team exercises. I get it. But you don't have to be like just like this every time. So, and the fact that he just came out blatantly, no.
That all combined, and then with him not putting her on top as number one, like very clearly, I think if he had different energy about that, this could also be a very different conversation. If it was just so clear that
But
like she's the top of the mountain and this girl's old news,
Yeah.
and that's all it is.
Yeah, like you definitely can be like friends and, you know, friendly, but
Yeah.
not that friendly and not that close.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like OP's getting anywhere near the respect that
No.
she deserves.
No. And the thing is, OP was at the very beginning, was like very mature and like, oh yeah, the past is the past and whatever. Then she saw how they interacted and was like, oh, this is what's going on.
The past don't look like it's in the past.
This looks like this is the present.
Did I take a time machine?
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure this is today.
Yeah. Am I your ex or is she your ex? I don't know.
Yeah, please let me know.
We have an update. I got a lot of good advice and opinions on my original post, so I thought I would update. I made the post Friday night, and right after, I also talked to a couple of my friends and to my mom about the situation. My conversations with them, plus the comments here, made me realize that yes, I had been acting out of jealousy and that I hadn't communicated with my fiance well, but that I was justified in feeling uncomfortable with the situation and that I wasn't all right with it continuing. When I posted, my fiance was out at happy hour again with his team and his ex. I decided that when he got home, I would try to have a more constructive conversation with him. He texted me soon after I posted and said he'd be home soon and would pick up dinner. He also said, in a snide way, that I didn't need to worry and that the coworker hadn't gone with them. When he got home, we spoke much more calmly, and I apologized for the ultimatum, but expressed that I really wasn't comfortable with the situation. It was actually very constructive, and we agreed that we would limit his interactions with her, would stop ordering her drinks, and would try to go more often to team building stuff that she was skipping and less often to the ones that she was going to. He also apologized, but was adamant that he felt nothing for her beyond professional respect.
And that's fair. That's what I was saying. It's like in a different way. It sounds like this context, it's like y'all are having a conversation that's actually getting somewhere and y'all are finding common ground and
Yeah, he's like
sort of peace in the situation.
he's understanding. He's like, okay, wait, this is reasonably sound. This makes sense.
Well, it's the fact that he was like completely disregarding
The feelings.
Yeah,
and,
but then OP also admitted like she didn't really communicate as effectively as she could have what she was going through. So
yeah, but communication.
yeah, hey,
It's good.
communication is key.
Key on.
He's key.
On. I was really glad we'd figured it out, but yesterday everything really went downhill. His friends who went to college with both of them were visiting us. We spent the day with them and a bunch of our friends who live in our city, including my best friend. We ended up going on a bar crawl after dinner. We all got really crunky, especially my fiance and his friends, and it ended up at this popular club/bar place. When we walked in, we walked past the coworker who was with a group of her friends, so the ex, which wasn't that surprising. It was a Saturday night and it's a popular spot for our demographic. After we walked by, a few of my fiance's college friends noticed and said a bunch of stuff to him. They were basically acting like college frat bros, hitting my fiance's shoulders and saying she looked good. She admittedly did. And that they hadn't seen her in a while and making jokes about her. My fiance was basically ignoring them and told them to cool it. I wanted to leave, but we'd just gotten there and it's a nice spot, so everyone wanted to stay. The coworker seemed like she was just having a good time and also seemed really crunky and didn't notice us. We got some drinks. My fiance and his friends kept glancing at the colleague and I think she noticed and laughed at them. I felt sick to my stomach and the alcohol definitely didn't help, and I went to the bathroom with one of my friends. My best friend stayed with the others, which is how I know what happened. My fiance's college friends started talking about her immediately after I left, saying that she looked great and they knew she was a good time and stuff like that. My fiance kind of brushed them off. Then one of his friends decided to go up to her.
It sounds like he's been reacting the right way so far. He's just trying to like, guys, stop. Come on.
Yeah, we're having a good time. We don't need this right now. He bought her a drink and talked to her for a little bit, but she just kind of laughed at him and kept talking to her friends. He came back to the group and said that apparently she'd said something like, fiance's name, and is the only their frat brother for me, after which he went to say hello to her and they talked for a little bit. According to my best friend, they seemed to be laughing and having a good time. When I came out of the bathroom, I saw him talking to her with one hand on her waist. I saw her push it off and say something, and he put it back and he leaned into her ear.
Yeah, this guy is dumb as a sack of rocks, or he's drunk as or both. He's a drunk skunk bag of rocks.
Yeah. Oh boy. She said something to him and removed his hand again, and then gestured to me, to OP.
Yeah.
Okay.
Being like, do you see her over there?
Yeah, like,
that's your girlfriend.
That's your girl.
Or your fiance, right?
Yeah.
That's your fiance.
My fiance turned to come and talk to me, but I walked out with my best friend and two of our other friends, and we ordered an Uber. My fiance didn't come outside, and I heard from another of my friends who stayed that it was because his college friends told him to stay and to chill.
Yeah, his college friends told him to stay and chill with the girl who they were all like, oh, yeah, yeah, remember her? Yeah, chill with her, dude.
Well, you know what? You guys should chill with us every weekday live on YouTube at 3 p.m. PST.
Yeah.
Just tap our profile.
Tap, just one.
There's another relevant update, but where do we stand right now? Where do we stand?
I think clearly, whether it was the copious amount of alcohol consumed by OP's fiance, or him making a move on the waist and like going in after his friend came back and was like, she said that you're the only one for her, bro. And then he walks over there while his fiance's. What? This guy clearly still has feelings for this ex.
Oh, 100%. And the fact that, like, you assured your fiance, OP, that, like, nothing's going on. I have no romantic connections with her. We're just friends. And then you do that?
Yeah, no.
What the hell?
That's like breaking off the engagement, like, grounds 100,000%.
But you have witnesses, too. It's not just like, oh, someone told me this. You have a bunch of witnesses. The OP's fiance's boys are hounding him.
Yeah. Yeah, the college boys are making everything worse.
This is terrible.
Yeah, and she just leave this guy and be like, you want to marry me? No, you don't.
No, you
want
don't.
to marry her.
You want to marry number two.
Yeah.
I'm going to call her number two because of what she did.
Yeah, because of, exactly. Yeah, we all know it, and we all know what she did.
I stayed at my best friend's apartment. So this is an update, or this is continuing the story. Sorry. I stayed at my best friend's apartment and haven't been home yet. I really just came to and have been crying in bed. I've heard nothing from my fiance. I just can't believe this has happened. My best friend is with me and we are trying to figure out what to do. I really just can't believe that my relationship has spiraled in such a short time. It doesn't even feel real. I'm just lost, and I thought that updating would help me collect my thoughts. I will probably eat and then call my mom and see if she has any wisdom because I'm really just in disbelief.
That sounds like a good play, honestly. Get some food in you and call your mom. Yeah, I think it's almost a blessing in disguise that this happened before the marriage, because now you don't have to go through the lengthy legal proceedings to, get a divorce or whatever. It's like, you can just leave this guy because he 100% deserves to be left.
I'm debating inviting my coworker to my wedding because she's so toxic.
Why are you so toxic?
Hiya, everybody. Firstly, big Mark narration fans, and I love hearing the community advise on the videos, so I thought, why not ask the community for advice? It's my first post ever, so please bear with me. This is more stressful than my college essay. LOL. Keeping it vague because I don't know if people will end up reading this. By the way, this comes from Silly Butt 2024 on the r/showcase Storytime subreddit. So I, 29 female, am getting married next year to my wonderful fiance.
Woohoo!
The guest list size is decent, and I do have the means to invite as many people as I would like to. For context, I moved around a lot as a kid, so I really don't have childhood friends. My circle is small but tight, full of friends. What?
Nothing. Keep going.
Tight?
Nothing. Just keep
My
going.
circle is small but tight, full of friends who I have met through work or being roommates. Some context. When I started my current job about 5 years ago, I met one girl we'll call Lola.
Lola.
Lola introduced me to Kelly. Lola and Kelly have been friends for over a decade as they have known each other since high school. Over time, I became close with Kelly. At first, I was simultaneously trying to stay close to Lola too, but she was occupied with life obligations. So Kelly and I would often waive the hangout on account of Lola, but sometimes keep the plans and hang out as if it was a time-sensitive ticket to an event or seasonal thing. But what really brought us close was Kelly's first birthday since I met her. She had invited both of us a month prior, but Lola was not able to make it, nor did she follow through with scheduling a time that worked in her schedule. So I went out for a birthday meal with Kelly, and we spent hours chatting away.
Chat. What did you chat about?
As time went on, I realized Lola passes a lot of judgment very quickly on people, or will say abrupt, rude things. And I just distanced myself from her a bit. She never directed anything at me, but a year into knowing both girls, I noticed Lola severely mistreating Kelly. Come to find out, Lola has been this way since they were kids.
Oh, again, just a little
mean
bully,
girls.
little bully action. You're just there to be like a little
Just a stepping
stress-
stool.
Yeah, a little stepping stool, a little stress item.
Yeah, stress ball.
Yeah, a little. Yep, there it is.
A year into knowing them, Lola started giving Kelly the silence treatment. A year after getting to know them, Lola started giving Kelly the silent treatment over Kelly setting a boundary with her. The boundary was to protect Kelly's health, and Lola's actions were putting her at risk medically, so Kelly was respectfully cautious. That pissed Lola off. What was this thing?
I don't know. I mean, if you have boundaries, set up the boundaries, but it's like we can't hang out as much.
I refuse to hang out with Keon if he's not drinking at least 150 grams of caffeine every day.
I would be bouncing off the walls.
He'd be productive. That pissed Lola off. She left Kelly isolated at work. We were nearing Kelly's birthday, so I band together with her family and we planned to celebrate her at her favorite restaurant and go out after. Lola wasn't invited as she came around with an insincere apology a day or two before her birthday. By that time, reservations were set and people were invited. Made for a very awkward office happy birthday singing when Lola came around to see Kelly.
Uh-oh.
It's been a few years since this instance, and Lola has definitely kept up with saying things that are rude or unnecessary.
Oh, dude, she's just like keeping it in her back pocket.
She also tends to get irritated if she cannot make it to plans as a group. She has asked us to cancel plans or go out of our way in an inconvenience manner just to accommodate her. We always say we are happy to make more plans on the exact day that is around, but she has wanted us not to go ahead with the plans unless we did it her way. Sometimes it would be so unreasonable, like driving an hour out 5 towns over to get food just because that's where she was.
She's selfish.
Very, oh my gosh.
No, she sucks. It's like, okay, you guys have plans? I can't make it. But we can
actually cancel what you have right now and do this.
But I need you to drive over a state to hang out with me.
Yeah, come on. It's
Yeah.
just an hour.
You'll be fine.
Come on. When Kelly and I are in the same city, just trying to grab a quick bite and inviting her as well. Like, nah, dude, this was supposed to be 2 hours tops interaction, not a 2-hour road trip in addition to a few hours of conversation. So really, 4 to 5 hours. And she's not willing to drive that, I bet.
No, no, of course not.
Given these things and the silent treatment debacle, Kelly and I are usually hanging out by ourselves or other friends. Rarely with Lola unless it happens through going out after work with everybody. Last year, Lola asked to go out on a Friday in a group chat with us, 3, and a few other friends. I asked if we could do another day as I was working a few supplemental jobs at the time, and they just so happened to have meetings on Friday afternoon. Lola said maybe, but she's available on that day, and everyone was already at work, so that day was the best day for her. I say, fair enough, you're right. I told the group chat to have a few extra drinks on my behalf. I will be there in spirit, but I need to go make this money. And I go on my merry way.
Make that money.
You see how he said, can't make it, have fun. See you on the next one?
That's all it takes. I don't
Not, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it, but you guys need to come over here and help me work and get money so we can hang out afterwards.
Don't hang out. No. You're hanging out without me. Don't hang out. Don't have fun. Wait for me. Postpone it. Wait for me.
Yeah, he didn't do that. Unlike Lola. I found out later from a few friends that Lola was criticizing me while out, saying things like, what is Ophid doing? Does she think she's too good for us? How come she never comes out? For context, I do go out, just not as often. This was out of the blue for me, and I felt irritated, but also amused that me bowing out on a Friday drink had her so annoyed.
Nice.
I am a professional above anything else, and I don't care enough to duke it out over these comments. I have never confronted Lola about her behavior. So in her brain, we are still close friends, and Kelly and her are besties. Kelly and I both have non-confrontational attitudes and get very anxious, so we just cut and run or avoid. Usually hold up somewhere with mojitos, chatting away about work, stress, and dating. Now, fast forward to now. Wedding planning is in full send.
Let's go.
Kelly is, of course, invited, and she is one of my bridesmaids.
Woo! Let's go, Kelly. What about Lola, though?
As I finalize my guest list, I struggle with inviting Lola.
Yeah.
Interactions with her have left me with a sour taste, to say the least, and it seems that her mistreatment of Kelly is still ongoing. I have such a similar story to this. Oh my gosh.
You're just full of stories
Holy
today.
cow. Kelly has assured me that she is okay with whatever I choose to do. I would have just written it off, as she doesn't make my close friends feel so safe, so it's enough. But recently, every time I run into Lola at work, she asks about wedding plans in detail. In the past, she has mentioned wanting to help. As recent as a few months ago, I'm getting the sense that she wants to be invited.
Oh, you don't say?
While I have no problems usually just standing my ground through my actions, I also know how Lola holds grudges. And we are going to be working together for the foreseeable future. I am a chronic overthinker, so in my overbaked brain, I am imagining Lola getting pissed that I invited her bestie, Kelly, but not her. And then giving me the silent treatment too, which is okay with me, but we also work with several other colleagues whom she probably could mouth off to and play the victim as, wow, OP has known me and Kelly for the same amount of time. I introduced them, and now I get cut out.
Well deserved, because you're such a bully. No one likes you. You suck. I guarantee you, if she was invited to the wedding, she's like, don't put it on this date. Put on this date so I can make it.
And then I run the risk of potentially looking like a butthole to a few people. But you will never be a butthole if you come and join us live every weekday at 3 p.m. PST. Just tap our profile.
No buttholes here.
Dude, there's just a lose-lose. You invite her, she acts like that. You don't invite her, she
acts like that.
badmouths.
Yeah.
Like,
it's literally like, if you don't invite her, she's gonna act like that. If you do invite her, she's gonna act like that.
that's what I said.
You just don't get anything.
That's exactly what I said.
No win. Yeah, I'm just reinforcing it.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Oh, good.
I'm not disagreeing with you at all.
Dude, that's... I don't know, dude. I don't know. If you want to play fire with fire, you have to be the mean girl here. You have to be Lola here. You have to be Lola 2.0. You have to be Lola in a way that you know what Lola's about to do, and then you already do it, and then you have a backup plan for what she might do also. Are you ready for that? If you want to be that kind of person.
Or just invite all the colleagues and not Lola.
Oh, I thought you got in the mail, dude. Dude, I literally texted it to you. Oh, this isn't your number?
I had to reschedule. I didn't send it into the right group chat. No,
Don't you remember when we talked about that? We literally talked about that for hours.
I already know that Lola is going to be very, very upset that Kelly is her did you say bridesmaid or maid of honor?
Bridesmaid.
A bridesmaid. I already nonetheless, either or, that Lola is going to be so butthurt about that.
Oh yeah.
And that she's not going to get invited. She's going to hold that over your head. But it's well deserved. You suck.
Yeah, I saw a chart that was like how to invite people to your wedding, and you go through like this system of basically if they're family, are they close, are they going to make the wedding better, are they not? Basically, I think by the end of it, if inviting certain people will make your wedding better, do it.
Yeah.
If not, you don't have to do it.
It's your wedding. It's your day.
Yep.
Do whatever you want.
Exactly.
You don't have to invite someone that's going to cause a ruckus or make your day more stressful or the planning stressful.
Oh my gosh.
Let alone, and I guarantee you Lola will make it more stressful.
Oh, 100%, dude.
But let's see what happens.
So, my friends, should I just say whatever and invite her, or stick to my guns and not extend that invitation? What have you done when you have invited some colleagues to your wedding, but not others? Have you ever not invited someone in the friends group to your wedding while you have invited others? Thank you all for your advice in advance. Do what feels right. Stick to your guns. I'm all about the Second Amendment.
What I'm worried about is that it's such a tight-knit group of friends.
Cookie.
That or at least work colleagues, that even if you invite all the colleagues and Lola doesn't get invited, they'd be like, Lola's like, I'm a +1.
Yeah.
I could be a +1.
Yeah.
And that would make things even more awkward.
Yeah.
I say, because it's going to be in the workplace.
Mm-hmm.
Lola does suck. Stick to your guns. If you don't want to invite Lola, but you just know there are going to be repercussions in the workplace.
Oh, yeah. You got to...
As like a people pleaser, I'd be like, all right, I don't want to deal with this problem at work. I would invite Lola, but like, you're not involved in any of the wedding plans. You're not involved in any of this stuff. You're just gonna be at the wedding, and that's that. That's it. Be on your best behavior. But that's the end of that story, guys.
My coworker replied inappropriately to my husband at a work event. Now I think I'm cheating on him.
Stop going to work events.
There was an after work event this week. Yeah, we need to stop that. A coworker was leaving for another job. We were going out for light food and drinks. I don't drink, by the way. I didn't give my husband details because he usually doesn't ask nor appear to care that I attended these occasional outings, which usually end at 6 or 7 p.m. By the way, this comes from Work Party Throwaway 77 on the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So here's kind of a text log to get an understanding of what happened. Husband, 6 p.m. You have that thing tonight, right? Need dinner after? Me. Should be out of there by 8 and fed. No worries about dinner. Times are estimates. Husband. Okay. Note the following. I didn't see until a train ride around 11 p.m. Husband at 9:30 p.m. Hey, baby. Everything okay? What's your status? Husband at 10:05 p.m. All good? Question mark. Husband at 10:30. Hey, give me a ping. I'm getting worried. Me at 10:33. Sent by an a-hole coworker. Hey, buddy, chill the F out. She's in really good hands, I can assure you. I left my phone at the table and the a-hole coworker took it upon his wasted self to send that text. Yep, my iPhone 4S is not password protected.
Wow, that's actually your fault.
Girl, update your phone.
Yeah, please.
You're worse than Riley.
Hey.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Though.
Thank you.
Yeah. I didn't see any of my husband's texts because of his notifications had been cleared when the a-hole coworker opened up the messages. I saw it as soon as I got on the train and texted him immediately. Me at 11:05. Sorry, that was not me. See you when I get home. No response from husband. When I get home, he is in bed. I give him a kiss on the cheek. He doesn't reciprocate. I ask him what's wrong, and he says he doesn't want to talk because he's afraid he'd say something he regrets. The next day, he was totally ghosting. He finally approaches me tonight and says that he felt extremely disrespected and is suspicious of my intention. Well, he said he wasn't keeping tabs on me, but making sure I was okay since most of these wrap up by mid-evening. I profusely apologized and tried to defuse. He wasn't at all receptive. He said he's not sure what to think. He had total trust in me, but think something nefarious might have been happening for this guy to have my phone and feel bold enough to send him that text. Him and I, back and forth, no improvement. He finally dropped a serious bomb. He says he doesn't know what to think. But he said if there's any hope of him believing this was, as I say, as actually happened, that I can't be, in his words, in the same effing room with that effer. No after work events. If there's a work meeting, he wants me to notify HR that there's a personal conflict. He's heated and said if I can't make these demands, then I can either look for another job or a new husband.
Oh, what?
Everything's happening so fast. I know he's overreacting, but he does have his reasons. I have beat out the a-hole coworker, told him off, and told him that if he touched anything that belongs to me again, I'm going straight to the police.
Wow.
What my husband is demanding is not practical. I guess I'm asking if I should risk waiting this out for cooler heads to prevail or meet my husband's demands, or if there's something I can do otherwise. I am pretty sure he thinks something happened last night. I think if he was assured it's what I say it is, he'd move past it, but I can see from his perspective, it looks like crap. We have some relevant comments. However, I do think that this does seem suspicious. I think what OP is failing to do is failing to like way of communicating. like what's happening. So like she should have like at least texted her or called or some gave more context, because literally by and this could have just been by her own like lack of communication skills.
Yeah.
But literally reading that text, I was like, okay, well, this still reads as if like someone could have been cheating with her. It wasn't, obviously, but like it just reads really bad and still leaves them like sitting in limbo. So it's like, tell your partner as much as immediately as possible, right? Over communicate everything. From deleted. Wait, how did you not think to text your husband sooner? You were supposed to be out by 8 and the event did run much longer, which happens. But 1, why did you not think to send him a heads up message earlier? 2, how is your phone, regardless of passwords, more accessible to your coworker than you? That's a good point.
Oh, wow.
3, why would this coworker randomly decide to send this message to your husband knowing that he'd have to see you after the fact? 4, what the heck happened that made the event run that long? Well, another great question. Sorry if it seems paranoid, but this post seems like it might be an attempt at an alibi.
Dude, being called that.
Too many questions sprung up from it, and I'd love to see some responses, to which OP responds, why did you not think to send him a heads up message earlier? Quoting that, OP responds to that. This has pretty much been the main topic of our conversation today. I lost track for part of the night and didn't see the messages until I went to text him on the train. I effed up and assumed his easygo attitude about these things meant that he didn't need me to check in, so I didn't think to. And time just got away from me. Now I realize how stupid that was, because until that text, I am sure he was legitimately worried and not thinking something was up. After that text, a different story. The event didn't run long. I usually leave around mid-evening because I don't drink and get bored. There's no alibi. I was at the pub the entire time. My phone was on the table. After probably checking my Facebook, I got distracted and moved tables to talk to some of my other work friends. I deleted, I believe the same user says, is there any kind of evidence to corroborate your side of the story? Something that shows your timeline of the events, when it let out, etc., etc. Past that, I think agreeing not to attend after work events for a while and taking reasonable steps to limit contact with the coworker is a fair agreement. It demonstrates your commitment to your partner and transparency in the relationship. It shows that you understand and respect his feelings, which understandable based on how the events went down, and presumably that commitment should quiet his worries and you can reestablish boundaries at that time. OP says, I think you're right. I have no problem seeing this guy ever again. If that means no after-work get-togethers, which rarely happen anyway, then fine by me. I can probably get my supervisor filled in and help limit my contact. Beyond that, there's not much I can do except to rebuild trust. And another top comment from Ben's Dream. Yeah, no. You didn't tell him the event's ending at 8, even roughly, then not get in contact until 3 hours later. I'd be fuming if my significant other did that to me. Amityville responds, I'd be fuming as well, just because I would be so worried. Your partner may have been really worried about you and is angry at you for making him feel that way. And there is an update. Different people have different expectations of stuff. Like, I think in many couples, like if someone goes to an event and it goes on longer and they come home by like, it happens. Different people on different like areas of the spectrum on if that would be worrying for them. But the important part is the partner's feelings. Getting into this update, I spoke to my boss first thing Wednesday morning and told him what happened. While he was not at the bar, he knew about the event. Later in the morning, he spoke to a-hole coworker and didn't hear anything else that workday. I also told a friend at work what happened. She was there and can vouch for me at the bar. Without me asking, she decided to get a-hole coworker on a conference line and called my husband and had a-hole apologize for what he did.
Whoa.
W freaking coworker friend. Let's freaking
That's
go.
huge.
This coworker is the opposite of a-hole coworker.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what exactly was said and had no idea this call had been made until I got home later in the evening. My husband gave me a big hug when I arrived and told me about the call. He said that throughout the day, he had already come to the conclusion that it was a crap prank by Wasted A-hole. As someone touched on in the comments, the idea that someone I was cheating with would send that text was so absurd that it must have been a prank. He said the call was helpful, but warned me he laid into a-hole pretty good, telling him what turmoil he caused, and straight up told the guy, stay as far away from his wife as professionally possible. It's just a prank, bro! Or he would make sure his career is impacted. We talked for hours and he reinforced some expectations going forward. Simple stuff like giving him a heads up if I'm late. He will do the same, password protecting my phone, and generally keeping my guard around people in general. I think we are back to about 95% normal. This week was kind of a shock, and I think we're both a little fatigued from all the drama and plan to spend the entire weekend together. I'm at work, and there's no conflict. He's here, but no direct apology yet. But the day is young, and honestly, I don't care to have any contact with this guy in the future. We're talking a-hole coworker. Sorry, I didn't respond to more in the original thread, but it kind of turned into a crap show of picking apart my alibi. I agree. It did look odd that I didn't realize the time or didn't look at my phone for 3 hours as someone claimed. I did have an idea about the time. I did look at my phone during the evening, but didn't think to check in because during that time, I felt like I was always on my way out. I dropped my phone on the table at some point before the text came in and moved to the other table to chat with some coworkers and said goodbye. I got distracted, didn't get to my phone until the text had been sent. At 8 p.m., I know I should have checked in, but it skipped my mind. By the way, it should never skip your mind that we're live every single weekday at 3 p.m. PST. So you tap the profile, it can't skip your mind, you have to join. Thanks to those who voiced their opinions about not having a cell phone strapped to your body every minute of the day. I'm pretty notorious for putting it in my purse and missing half the calls I receive. That is such a good point. Also, I think the next time that we meet for drinks after work, I'm going to invite my husband. Also a great idea.
There we go.
He is very social and talkative and would get along with everyone. For sure.
That's so true. Yeah, dude, that's good. I'm glad that they were able to get their trust back and they're 95% normal.
Good. I think all's well that ends well. I think the husband, he didn't say this exactly, but I feel like he kind of realized he overreacted.
Yeah.
Because he, on his own, came to the conclusion, and it was great that, once again, we had so many options to display the evidence. The coworker getting the a-hole coworker to call and apologize was a great way of doing that. Although, could have just pulled a random person
Oh, God.
and
No,
told him,
stop,
hey, this
no.
is what you do. This is what you say. This is my homegirl, so we got to make sure that we keep her in the
Crap.
safe.
And got like a fake person to apologize.
Yeah, just grabbed
Oh,
some coworkers, like,
dude.
hey, just like pretend to apologize and just, but that's it. That's it. I think
That's
also
true.
that ends well.
That is true. I
Feels
agree.
good.
I agree.
My wife wants to cut off her friend because she's more talented than her. Sounds like your wife's insecure.
Jealousy.
I, male 28, knew her since college, and I'll get that out of the way first. The past few days have shown a different side of her that's a little surprising because Kate is her best friend from college. My wife Nancy wanted to do a mini talent show at our reception, and she talked it up beforehand too. She read a poem that she made for the event, and Kate performed a song that she wrote. Long story short, one of the guests who I invited is into producing, and he reached out to her after she performed. They exchanged information, and Kate was really excited. He wanted to network with her following the reception, and she even thanked my wife for hosting the talent show over text. By the way, this comes from Throwaway, a pitiful one on the OK Storytime subreddit. So Nancy became really bitter about it, and that's why I'm writing this. She hasn't responded to Kate's message, and she said she regretted doing the talent show too. She also asked me to block Edward, the producer, on my social/contacts, and I told her that seemed a bit much. She didn't like my answer and said that I was wrong to not take her side after just getting married. But I told her that she should be happy for her friend. She didn't like that either and vented to some in our friend group about how Kate was bragging, but some of them disagreed. She's so jealous. She said she didn't want to hang out with them for the time being, and that included me too. 2 of her girlfriends even texted me that she was overreacting and that they were also surprised to see her act that way. They also asked if she was okay too. My dad is suggesting counseling and said that asking me to remove friends is an unhealthy way to start a marriage and is honestly more than a little scared. I asked if she'd be open to counseling, but she said there was no need because Kate was her friend first and I shouldn't choose Kate over her. I just want to ask what to do next since she refused counseling and sees no issue with cutting off our friends. And edit, I want to add that Nancy complained that her poem didn't get as good of a reception as Kate's song. Kate didn't study music in college, but practices on the side, and her text was really thankful for the opportunity that the talent show provided. Kate is also engaged to her longtime boyfriend, and there is an update. But pausing really quick.
What the heck?
Nancy just seems like a nightmare. I can't imagine having a friend who was just so jealous of anything that I did that they stopped being friends with me and also told all of our friends to stop being friends with me. That
Also
would be
for
crazy.
a reason that's so silly.
So silly. Like she got a job with a producer and that's why you're upset. And also asking OP to not be friends with them too. And she's like, oh, well, she was my friend first. Honestly, I don't think that's the main issue is that OP doesn't get to be friends with Kate. It's that Nancy is asking this at all.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be one
It's just
thing
a
if
red
she did
flag.
something really wrong and then she's, like, okay, if I tell
Yeah.
my partner, like, this person's not cool, we're like no longer friends with them. But for this reason,
Yeah. Update 1. It's been a little over 2 weeks since my first post, and I've had some time to try and process. A lot of it still feels surreal, having known her since my early 20s and the 180 after the wedding. I want to address a few things that were asked in my first post before getting to the update. Nancy and Kate were not the only ones who performed in the talent show. During planning, Nancy said she wanted to showcase her friends and how awesome/proud she was to have them. She also said it was a bonding thing between her girlfriends from our friend group, and the girls were the ones who performed. However, given her post-reception 180, it really surprised me in comparison to her pre-talent show mindset. A few people commented that she didn't need to have a talent show to read the poem she made for the wedding. She could have just read it at any time as the bride. Literally, if she wanted to show off her poem, she didn't need to have the talent show. The reason I'm writing this post is because of something else that came up and led to a conversation. We had a vacation coming up, but she no longer wants to go on it. In the time since my first post, she continued to have random mood swings due to thinking about Kate. Sometimes that's venting about how Kate would have nothing without her, or getting really quiet and distant even while eating. She's also still upset at her girlfriends who she vented to about Kate, but when they disagreed and called her out for being bitter over a talent show no one forced her to have, she told me to cut off our friend group along with blocking the producer/girlfriends too. When I disagreed, she became distant and said I was choosing them over her. My dad suggested counseling and talked to her again because asking me to cut off friends was an unhealthy start to the relationship. So I talked to her after my first post and asked if she'd be open to do it, but she said there was no need because all I had to do was cut them off. She also said I was choosing them over her and that she wouldn't go on her vacation until I did. When I asked her why Kate bothered her so much, she said she tried to publish in the past a novel and didn't get any hand-me-downs then, but when I reminded her that my friend was a producer on the side in his basement, she said, I should have known better than to invite him. As if I should have known he would have liked Kate's song. When I told her that I wouldn't block the producer/entire friend group, she said I was entitled like Kate and that she wanted a break because I didn't care about her. I told her that I love her but didn't think it was healthy to cut off everyone. I also told her that she should be happy for her friend because Kate was really grateful, but she doesn't seem to care. She has since gone to stay with her parents and left some of her things in our apartment. I talked to my dad after she ignored texts/calls for a few days, and he suggested bringing up an annulment because it had gone too far. Wow. I mean, this is such a huge 180.
yeah.
Like Opie said, I've known her for years, and this is seemingly she's never acted like this before.
That's so weird. I
Yeah.
mean, I think it's so interesting to like think about people who've been in a relationship with people for a long time and then suddenly they just like change.
Yeah. Her parents have also ignored my calls, but I want to clarify Kate's text before I'm done. Kate wasn't arrogant or anything to Nancy. All she did was thank her for putting together the talent show that allowed her to network with the producer after the wedding, and she also offered to take her out to lunch as thanks. There was no arrogance from Kate, and the producer is also engaged, as some people inquired about that too. I'm just really surprised and hurt that her bitterness turned me into a bad guy for inviting my producer friend, as if I was supposed to see into the future and not invite him. Edit, Nancy got the idea to make a poem for the reception after watching the poet Amanda Gorman read her works at the inauguration and Super Bowl. She also said that it wasn't out of place for her to read at the reception when most people watching football aren't smart enough to appreciate poetry.
Oh.
And there is an update, but she just seems really elitist in general. And I'm really wondering how there was no signs.
Yeah, she's just like very judgmental. And then
Yeah.
obviously, like she keeps calling all these other people entitled, but then
Yeah.
she's just like cutting people off for being more talented than her.
Left and right. Update 2. Just wanted to come back to conclude this because it's been helpful to hear opinions and get everything out. A lot of people asked how I was in messages, and there were too many to reply to. We are currently in the process of a divorce. Wow. She's staying with her parents, and I've had some time to process and see things differently. I want to touch on 2 things that's happened since my update. The first is a Facebook post she made about me and the guests. Not the Facebook post. It's always the
That's
Facebook
always
post.
a good idea.
In her post, she said she was supposed to win and that it was an unwritten rule for the bride to win, as if wedding talent shows are normal. She also accused them of smiting her on her day when no one knew about the show beforehand except her participating friends. She then accused me of taking Kate's side instead of comforting her as her new husband. But taking her side meant cutting off our friend group as she had in the aftermath. I don't know how her parents felt after she called out both sides of the guests, but I really don't care at this point. She also wanted me to cut off my producer friend, Edward, who approached Kate after she sang her original song and asked if they wanted to collab sometime. And I want to focus on that. I talked to Edward recently about everything, including how she wanted me to cut him off, and he couldn't believe how much it affected her. Nancy and I watched a football game at his house with him and his fiance some months back, and he has a day job in an office. When I told him about how Nancy was jealous of Kate's big break, he couldn't believe it and said that he planned to let Kate use his audio interface to plug into her guitar and record a high quality instrumental of her original along with his microphone too. That's
so
what
funny.
That's what I was kind of thinking. I'm
Yeah.
like, she keeps making this out to be like this huge
Like,
break.
oh, now
where-
she's gonna be a famous star.
and she's leaving us behind. It's like, no, he's probably just, has a small little studio. Home
let me add some
garage
beats
studio.
to your song.
Yeah,
yeah.
And she's getting upset about that. He also said he wasn't great at mixing and was taking online courses to learn. So he was going to suggest that she commission someone to mix/enhance the files they'd record because he was far from a professional. He's a really chill guy, but he couldn't stop laughing over how Nancy thought that he was all that. He only wanted to use his interface to give her a high quality recording after learning that she didn't have equipment and recorded her original on her phone. He and his fiance planned to have her for dinner, just like they had me and Nancy over for football, and recorded in the basement afterwards. Looking back in hindsight, it's crazy how you can be blinded to things, but I never imagined just how crazy she could get. I didn't say this in my first 2 posts because I thought it might overshadow her actions, but she sometimes posts about women empowerment on her socials. And I recently thought about that for one reason. When I asked her why she wanted to have a talent show, she said she wanted to emphasize the importance of having good friends because they were important to a relationship. But as I look at it now, perhaps it was never about that. Nancy was bothered the second that Kate's song got a better reception than her, and she doubled down when she vented to 2 of her girlfriends after the wedding who called her out for being jealous. And that made her demand I also cut off our friend group. To everyone who asked what her poem was about, it was about women empowerment and the importance of having good friends and family when starting a family, and she told me the premise beforehand, although she never showed me the poem. How ironic. How ironic.
Interesting.
Maybe you should read your poem again. Doing a little analysis of it. She wanted it to be a surprise, but I never had a chance to see it on paper after the wedding for reasons. Many people also corrected how she said that Kate received a hand-me-down opportunity at the wedding, but the proper term was handout, as many corrected. I really appreciate everyone who offered advice as it helped a lot mentally, not to mention looking back at how crazy it all was. Just hoping to fully get over it as time goes on, but I've gotten over some of it recently. And there is another update.
Oh,
Do you have any
God.
other thoughts before we get into the update?
I'm just again like flabbergasted at how people are like not making any common sense.
No, I mean the fact that she took a random guy letting her best friend record in a studio and took that so far and that she's now getting a divorce.
Like, was it really worth it?
Was that real? Like, is that really the hill that you're going to die on? I really thought my last update would be my last, but Nancy apparently had other ideas. This update doesn't really involve me and is mostly for those who have reached out via DMs because I can't reply to all of them, so this is more convenient. Months later, I'm grateful that everything came out when it did, and we are officially no longer together. She wanted nothing to do with me after accusing me of taking Kate's side by refusing to cut off friends who she said overreacted when she vented about Kate stealing her thunder by getting a better reception for her song, among other hateful things she said about her. And that made the process easier. However, months later, Nancy's still not over it, but I want to give an update on Kate first. Kate reached out to me towards the end of the divorce process because Nancy took out her frustration on her, and she told me some things I didn't know. I mentioned in my first update that Kate sent a text thanking Nancy for the opportunity to sing at the wedding after it led to her meeting the producer, and she sent it shortly after the reception. However, unbeknownst to me, Nancy sent her DMs blaming her for the divorce before it was official, and that was news to me. She told me she was sorry for performing at the wedding along with the divorce, but I told her that she had nothing to apologize for. Her best friend Nancy asked her to perform, and she simply did. But Nancy didn't stop at DMs. Since my last update and the divorce becoming official, Nancy went online to make her feelings public. Not just about Kate, but the friends who said she was overreacting too. She said that her friends should have talked her out of the talent show because friends look after each other, when the talent show was her idea entirely that she pushed for against suggestions otherwise. She accused them of being fake friends who never had her back and sided with Kate over her, and she had the nerve to tag them too. However, she left the worst for Kate. She accused Kate and her friends of setting her up on her day, and she made a separate Facebook post to rant about Kate. She also called her a bee, among other things, but she also disclosed some mental health challenges and medications from Kate's past, and it was petty and very inappropriate. I want to reiterate that Kate was her best friend long before me, but she also disclosed a very personal event that I never knew about from Kate's life, which was wrong, and it led to people finding out that Kate hadn't told and caused her a lot of stress from what I've heard. Ugh. Why would you go online and share? I mean, even if you don't like that person, that's messed up.
Not a good person.
Some of the people in Nancy's friend group reached out to me before the divorce too, and one of them, we'll call Hannah, who knew Nancy before me too, said that she knew about Nancy's struggle to publish as she vented years back after I told her about my talk with Nancy where she brought up her publishing struggles, and she said that many of them tried to encourage her. However, she never saw that jealous side of her despite knowing her for much longer, and she thinks it was the culmination of wedding stress among other things. But she didn't want to chalk it up to just that because she said that that was a deeper insecurity. I mean, it can be wedding stress, but at a certain point it's like that's just who they are.
Yeah.
She also told me not to beat myself up too much because her friend group never saw that side of her too, and they knew her for years before me. Nancy's friend group has since cut her off, but the last thing I'll say is on Kate. By the way, the last thing I'll say is that you can join us live every weekday at 3 p.m. PST on YouTube, on Facebook, on TikTok. Just tap her profile. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts is,
What does OP do here?
I mean, I think keep your divorce.
Keep your divorce. Marry Kate. She's much more talented than Nancy.
And then have her sing at the wedding.
Yes. And then post
send
it.
a video and post it.
Kate and her friends have been really supportive and even apologized for not talking her out of the talent show beforehand. But I told them that they had nothing to apologize for because Nancy accused me of inviting my producer friend and not magically knowing that he would have networked with Kate. Hannah said that Kate's been really hurt about the sensitive posts and having to explain to people she never told. She also said that Kate's thinking of trying to go after Nancy legally, but she's not sure if anything can be done since it was on Facebook. Although she got screenshots, but it's apparently taken a toll on her mental health to the point that she's trying to see her options. I won't come back to this again because it doesn't really involve me at this point, but I'm trying my best to be supportive of her too because she didn't deserve any of this. But I hope it all works out for her in time, whether she decides to pursue legally or not. And that is the end of that story.
Wow.
It really crumbled. Insane. Nancy, you need help.
I'm going to go host a talent show and see how my boyfriend reacts.
I guess it's the tester. This is the test.
Just have a talent show.
Yeah.
See how your partner reacts.
See how they do. But there is another story, so we'll see you next time.
My manager is a horrible boss, so I'm going to expose her as a total fraud. A couple years ago, I applied for a front desk receptionist job at a massage spa, which was a great change from bartending. After COVID, I was super burnt out on dealing with the food industry, so I decided to try something new. I mean, who isn't burned out in food industry jobs? Let's be honest. By the way, this comes from user Mystical Sierra Mist on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I interviewed with the manager who pretty much hired me on the spot, and it was a Monday through Friday, 8 to 4 position. Fellow bartenders know how much a change this would be for my sleep schedule alone, but I was looking forward to it. No more coming home at 3 a.m., no more bar prep, but I still made tips at my new job. It was a win-win. I was there for about 3 months when I got a promotion, and then another 2 months, I got promoted to assistant store manager. In hindsight, yes, I realize now that this is a red flag, but I was young, and at the time I was excited and looking forward to it. Around this time, there was a change in ownership, and the store manager, my manager, was not dealing with it very well. So much so that she wasn't dealing with it at all. The previous owners, the ones who promoted me, were there every single day and treated the place like a family. The new owners, well, they didn't even live in our state. It very much took a corporate shift that all of the staff was not happy with. Keep in mind, most of the massage therapists had been working there for decades with the previous owners, so they took it the hardest. My manager at the time was also going through a breakup and always complained that she had no friends. I have a pretty close-knit group of friends, so I invited her to my 21st birthday party that year. She started mingling with my friends, numbers got exchanged, etc. I didn't mind. In fact, I thought it was good for her since she was in a tough spot. Side note, she was turning 32 the following year. I'm bringing this up for a reason. Then, something happened that tears me up to this day. It was extremely tragic and we were all gutted. We closed the spa for a few days and attended a coworker's funeral. Everybody was there, minus one person, my manager. I called her to ask where she was, and she said she couldn't attend because, and I almost fell over after hearing this come out of a 32-year-old woman's mouth, she had a giant crush on our coworker, and it would be too hard to see her. Yeah, one of our coworkers has tragically passed. Let me find an opportunity to make this about me. Gross. I pretty much just hung up the phone and went home to be alone. Now, I had been doing her job for months now. Anyone who has worked in retail or similar situations knows there are regional meetings pretty much every other week, mostly on Zoom. My manager wasn't there, so I attended even though I didn't have to. It definitely couldn't hurt. Most of the staff were looking at me for direction, and I did the best I could, but I could not do things that the store manager had to do. Eventually, the new owners and regional directors were asking why I was in the meetings, and more importantly, where my manager was. I told him I didn't know, but I defended her and said she was going through a hard time. Apparently, they had been trying to contact her, but she was leaving them on read and declining every call. So they put me on all the emails and gave me a little more wiggle room until they could figure out what was going on. My manager was there once a week at best and barely did anything while she was there. But she became extremely jealous of me and that I was being recognized. She actively petitioned against me for any raises and lied to me by saying that the owners didn't approve it, but I didn't find out until later. She's like, how dare you do the job I'm not doing? What, people are giving you admiration for doing my job? How dare you? Her job was in danger because of me, and she decided to take it personally. At the time, I had a friend who I had a thing for, and she knew that. So she went after him too. I was fuming. First, you leave your entire staff hanging, you act super inappropriately at the office, you mess with my paychecks, and now you're going after the guy I wanted? That was when it was game on. One of the things the new owners granted me was being able to fix the time clock and the schedule. If an employee needed a day off or if they forgot to clock in, I would be able to have access to all of that. So one of the therapists told me she forgot to clock in, and her name happened to be right below my manager's name in the alphabet. We saw something we were not supposed to see at all. My manager was committing time clock fraud. Uh-oh, I smell trouble for the manager. She had clocked in the previous days from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., but she wasn't at the spa. I took a picture of it, but didn't say a word to anyone. Fast forward a few weeks, she brings me into her office and says she has to do what is best for the spa and let me go. What she meant was she needs to do what was best for her. As angry as I was, I knew what I had. I threw my key on her desk, and she had to deal with a spa full of angry staff and clients. I immediately wrote a long email to the new owners and sent them photos of what I had. For some reason, they were disappointed in me because they wanted me to fight to stay. But that's neither here nor there. What? We're disappointed in you that you didn't fight and stay at the job that forced you to be a manager without a pay increase, I'm sure, and also let the manager who was actively defrauding the company let you go for no real reason other than the fact that she doesn't like you. Why didn't you fight to stay here? These corporate companies are so out of touch with reality. It's unbelievable. They investigated further and told me that everything I had said was true. One of the last things I told her was that she wouldn't last a month without me. She was out about 10 days after she let me go. The owners wanted me to take over her position, and I told them I would if they could double the salary my old manager was making. They couldn't, obviously. That place had a lot of issues that I won't get into. They aren't interesting, and this post is long enough. As for the guy I wanted, well, that's the best part. She continued for weeks to try and sleep with him, but she was shocked to find out that I already did. My entire friend group found ourselves blocked and restricted on every social media app. By the way, me and the guy are still good friends to this day. And by the way, you can be good friends with us every weekday at 3 p.m. PST when we go live on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitch. All you got to do is tap our profile on any of those platforms, and you can join our live. And we might even be live right now. But before you go check, let's finish this story. We're almost done. Props to OP. Getting out of there, knowing her worth. You saw your boss was doing some illegal activities, documented it, and said, isn't it interesting? You seem to be actively defrauding the company, which we do not endorse. Do not commit time clock fraud. OP, you will find much greener pastures at a company that values you at a level that these people clearly did not. The fact that your manager just went AWOL, you started doing all of their duties, and then they didn't even immediately offer you a raise in position? Like, hello, the manager being AWOL for that long is a huge red flag. They should have let her go. And then she had the nerve to go after the guy you like and all that. She was targeting you. It's crazy. Low-key, you might have had a harassment lawsuit there, but, that's probably way more of a headache than you even need to deal with. It sounds like it'd be better off just getting the heck out of there, which is exactly what you did. So let's finish this story. As I wrote this entire thing out, I didn't realize how much of a giant red flag my manager was. Not only in the work environment, but as a person too. And for me, well, I found a much better job making more money than what I would have been if the spa accepted my salary offer. I also own a dance studio now, which has been a wild ride, but it's something I've wanted since I was a little girl. I'm exhausted all the time, but I cannot begin to explain how worth it is. And that is the end of that story. Shout out to OP, living out her dream. Making more money than making double the money of her lame manager. Wow. We love stories that work out in the end. Thumbs up from the sick boy. Well, 2 thumbs up. Yeah, I'll give you 2. There you go. Love to hear it. But that is the end of that story. My coworker's wife accused us of infidelity, and HR believed her.
No.
Uh-oh.
Oh, man.
I, female 25, have a coworker, Connor, male 50, that I am close with. We both worked at the same university and have a lot of the same friends from there. And at our new job, we hate the same people. That's a good common bond right there.
Great.
Yeah. By the way, this comes from user falsefreedom6509 on the r/OKStorytime subreddit. We are close, quote unquote, but we don't hang out outside of work. We don't contact each other after hours. I ask him about his wife and kids at least once a week if he doesn't bring them up first, etc. We're not flirting, we just vent. Last week, a lady came up to me asking for a favor. She told me to stop following him around and that everyone could see what was going on, and I knew it too. I was shocked because I had no idea who she was.
Oh my gosh.
But then it clicked, and I couldn't say anything except that I was sorry. Apparently, I've been on her radar for a while. My coworker, Kara, told me that his wife called her a few weeks ago to ask about me. Kara said she told her she had nothing to worry about with me because we don't like each other like that, which is 1,000% true. Kara said that I had nothing to worry about as the wife is just a little mentally unstable and whatever problems are going on in their marriage are not my problem.
Dang.
Well, it sounds like they're about to be.
Right.
I spoke with HR. I first started off with saying that I do not want anything done or said for the time being, and I made that very clear. I told her what happened, but not who it was. She, however, already knew who it was. She told me that she had seen Connor and I together frequently. I assured her it wasn't anything more than conversation. She said that they could have the wife banned from the campus, but I said no, as I didn't want to embarrass Connor. Yeah, it's like, is that the only option? They're like, well, we could just ban her from ever coming here ever again.
Yeah, that seems a little extreme.
It's like, yeah, that's going to make her really reassured that nothing bad is happening.
Right.
I haven't talked to Connor since then. He's hanging around my area of work, but I've been avoiding him like the plague because I don't know what to do. Kara says he is really embarrassed about the whole thing and that I should just act like nothing happened. But in my mind, something did happen and it was kind of big. What should I do when I see him tomorrow? And we have some relevant comments. But before we ask those, what would you say?
I don't know, because that's like so weird. Like, I just being buds with someone at work, and then all of a sudden it's like, you're cheating. You're sleeping with my husband.
Yeah, it's like
I don't know.
The shock of
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, whoa. And then you find out HR's already been like, yeah, we kind of picked up on that too. It's like, oh my God, no, like we're not.
Wait. Yeah.
But I would definitely at least talk to Connor about it and be like, hey, like, I think you need to do some work at home to make your wife understand, like, this is not, this is just platonic friendship,
Right.
work friends.
Yeah. Yeah, because sometimes I think when people like are toxic like that, just on their own time, like he could be pulling the thing where it's like, oh yeah, I've got someone that I talk to at work. She seems pretty interested in me, and then she's like, oh no,
Yeah,
no.
he made like one comment in a fight, and now all of a sudden OP is getting dragged in his marital disputes.
Right.
All right, well, let's see what these comments say. From Rough Foundation 691, a lot of expert HR here, people. Not asking, where did this happen, which is a pretty important question. OOP said, inside the office. I was alone in the supply room, and she blocked the door with her Oh, my God. Wait. I thought it was a phone call. The wife was there.
She's there. That's why they were like saying, like, we could just have her banned from the campus.
Oh, my God. That's why. Yeah, because she just showed up to the...
Yeah.
Whoa.
That's crazy.
Oh, that's extra crazy.
Cornered
Wow.
in the supply room, too.
Yeah, trapped.
Yeah.
Trapped you in the supply room. That's wild. Trans Gemini responds to that knowledge. Holy, absolutely inappropriate contact, Batman. Why isn't this nutcase already banned? This behavior doesn't pop up out of nowhere. The coworker definitely knows his wife is unstable. OOP, when asked why she was following him around. I wasn't following him around like that. We had a week-long event back in July. My boss just assigned me to work with his team around that time. His department deals with a lot of heavy lifting. My boss wanted someone from our team to be there to help guide him and his team, since we basically leave the event. She felt it was best if I'd be there because that's my area of expertise and I'm the strongest member in my department, so I could easily help with any lifting they needed. There was never any funny business, just business. Sure, we talked about things other than work, but it was mostly his family, which is also like not, you can talk to your coworkers about things that aren't work.
Yeah, like it's allowed.
It's totally okay. We never got into anything personal, and we have an update here.
Oh man.
Let's go ahead and let's jump in.
Do it.
I had no idea about the unexpected drama that was about to be unfolded. Before his wife confronted me, my coworker and his wife were invited to dinner with one of the higher ups. So this is The higher up dinner is before being trapped in the closet. So
Oh,
this
man.
is backstory.
Okay.
Out of the blue, the wife pulled out a speech from her purse accusing my coworker and me of having an affair and read it out loud at the higher-ups dinner? Oh my God!
That's crazy.
HR had caught wind of this and asked him about it after seeing us together at an event, which was already normal for us. When my coworker got angry over the accusation, HR assumed it must be true and started asking everyone in the office for their opinions on the situation.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Honestly, why do they care that much? Why does HR like? I feel like if I was HR, I'd be like, you know what? As long as it doesn't affect your work, like have an affair all you want, but like as long as it doesn't affect your work. But clearly, like I don't know, they feel more involved than they need to be.
Like the relationships or whatever in the
Yeah.
office can be like they do kind of need to be managed by HR in a way. Like they need
Yeah.
to be aware of it, but at the same time, their rationale for like, oh, he got upset about it, so it's true.
Right.
It's like, no, I think
right.
you'd just be upset if you're like, God, they got wind of the letter that my crazy wife read at the. No, I'm not
Yeah.
cheating on my wife with my coworker, for God's
Dude.
sakes. And then they're like, oh, that sounds like a guy who's cheating on his coworker.
Wow.
My friend told me my coworker called her to say his wife wanted to talk about me, and she reassured her that I wasn't a threat. But when his wife saw me talking to him, she freaked out and confronted me.
Boy.
My sister said my coworker didn't want me to worry, but their silence put me in a tough and vulnerable spot. I made it clear to HR that while my coworker and I get along, there is nothing romantic. He's twice my age and focused on supporting his family. Since then, I've just been following his lead. One minute he acts like nothing happened. The next, he avoids me completely. People are now talking, and we need to decide where we go from here. But it's been almost 3 weeks since the wife confronted me, and the drama behind it all has been going on for a while now. I don't know what to do. And we have an edit.
Wow.
I don't know. I think you need to go above. Like, HR has fumbled this from my
Yeah.
perspective. I'm not an expert in that. It sounds like this was handled in a way that only made the situation more inflammatory.
Yeah.
Like, HR.
They're supposed to like, calm things down, like be the mediators, and they were just like, egging them on.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh, I guess someone here cheated.
Yeah, HR literally went through the entire office and went,
Yeah.
hey, did you guys hear about OP and this guy? Like, did you hear that they're seeing each other? What do
Yeah.
you guys know about that?
Yeah.
Everybody in the office. That's crazy.
Messy people.
And then, of course, the wife is going to be like, yeah, oh, everyone in the office is talking about how you're having an affair. That's
Yeah.
weird. It's
but it's like,
whoa.
but that wouldn't have happened if you didn't stand up in front of everyone and read
Yeah.
a letter that you
Not
already
just
had.
everyone. The higher ups,
Yeah.
like the big britches,
Ugh.
pulled out a letter and said, I just want everyone to know that I know my husband's cheating on me with this woman. And everyone's like,
Right.
you're cheating on your wife? He's like, I'm not.
It's like,
I'm
no.
Just let her have this. Just let her go.
just let her
Oh,
happen.
man.
She'll be done soon.
So, well, let's get into this edit. We have an edit. Thank you to everyone who has shared their opinions and offered advice. I want to clarify that from my perspective, there has never been any attraction or feelings between us. In our office of about 30 to 40 people, it's common to ask about each other's families. I've met his kids, who come in twice a week, and he often shares updates about their lives. Asking about his wife is simply a way to acknowledge her presence. We've never spoken negatively about her, and I actually admired how obsessed he is over her. We have a shared connection through our time at the university. He worked there before I started, and now I do contract work there on weekends. He currently works part-time at the university in addition to our main job, but we have different schedules. I work during the day and attend university at night, while he works at the university during the day and our other job at night. And by the way, it could be night, it could be day, it could be any time. You can join us and listen to full episodes with stories like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search OK Storytime. And we do have a little bit left here.
Let's just jump right in.
And I think let's just go. I think we haven't really touched on if there could be like feelings that maybe the coworker has that OP doesn't, and OP hasn't picked up on it. But I'm
Yeah.
sure you would have noticed that.
Probably. I would still believe that maybe he's like exaggerating things at home, either in a fight or maybe, I don't know, maybe she is just blind to it. Who knows? Who
So
knows?
he might be weaponizing the friendship.
Yeah, maybe.
Well,
Just to spice things up.
well, let's see how this ends right now. Importantly, we've maintained a professional relationship at work. We rarely have lunch together. We don't reach out outside of office hours. And while we are friends on social media, we don't interact there either. I came here to ask on how to handle the matter in the best way. We have not spoken about what has been going on, but he goes from acting like everything is fine to being distant again. Unfortunately, we do still have to work together, and there is nowhere else for me to be moved, as I am already in a different department. And we do have some relevant comments. Maybe they will shed some light on the situation here.
Let's see it.
Pumpkin Patch 85 says, if he's not your friend outside of work and it's just a misunderstanding, then let your coworker know and handle it, and stay away from him completely. OOP says, I wish it were that easy. We still have to work closely. He knows what happened, and my friend said he is really embarrassed by it. He also told her that he tried to warn me a couple of weeks ago. He told me that someone made a comment that I was hanging around his guys too much. But his guys are in their 80s, and I talk to them maybe once a week. He wouldn't tell me who said it or in what context, but just told me to watch my back.
Whoa.
I thought maybe I had distracted them or one of them complained about me, so I stayed away from them. But not from him, and he didn't act any different either. And what he told me was completely different from what was actually going on. I'm not saying it's his fault, but my understanding was completely different from what was actually going on. Pumpkin Patch 85 then replies, you can work with him professionally and not have any other kind of interaction, no text, no social media. Also, you don't need to make any small talk or ask about his wife once a week like you have been in the past. Just stay away. It's not hard. But why does she have to do that?
Yeah.
I feel like this comment is sort of throwing OP under the bus by just being like, well, now you can't have that friend because his wife thinks that you're cheating, that you're an affair partner. It's like, but you're not.
Right. I know that definitely like shouldn't be how it is at all. And that's frustrating. But I kind of see where they're coming from. Like, I kind of feel like it's like, well, you are in this tough situation now. Obviously something is going on and it's all weird and you're not really involved in it, but things might get worse from it. So I could see like, you know, wanting to avoid the situation to not cause any more problems. But it does suck that needs to happen.
It seems like I agree because it is probably the easiest, clearest path, but it's also like kind of the most unfair one.
Yeah.
And it's also gonna be really hard because it's like, I don't know, you don't want to mess up the work vibes.
Right.
You got good vibes. You don't want to mess them up.
I mean, if HR is involved, then, you know, their jobs might be on the line too.
Right.
Can't have that.
Just, God. So OP responds, that's the thing though. We don't call or text or hang out outside of work. Interactions have only ever been work related. I guess the only thing I can think of is we only communicate through admin, but to be honest, they both suck and we end up having to give communications with each other directly anyway. That's kind of been the recurring issue. Spa 599 says, I was wondering if the older colleague might have a crush on OP without her realizing it. He may be someone who talks about his work day when he gets home and brings up OP's name a lot. The wife probably heard about OP so much that she thought the worst. OP says, I think you're right.
Ooh.
He has mentioned a few times before that he told his wife some things that we've discussed at work, and honestly, she's right about the following around. She just has the people mixed up. He tends to follow me around more than I follow him. Ooh. Uh-oh. He might be having the crush.
Yeah,
Hey.
looks like it.
Rotato says, she called you out in public at a company dinner. You should have already filed a complaint about that with HR. Not trying to seem aggressive, but it protects you, so do it. OP says, I wasn't there when it happened, and this was weeks before she confronted me. The commenter says, there are witnesses, no, including HR. Shouldn't be too tough. OP says it was just 4 people, the boss, his wife, and my coworker and his wife. Oh my God, just directly to the boss and his wife?
This is like an intimate dinner, and she's like,
Oh
ding,
no.
ding, ding, gonna make an announcement.
And
Dude.
you won't believe it, but that's the end. That's the
That's
last
it?
comment.
That's all we get?
So, okay, so clearly, I'll say this. HR fumbled this. HR
Yeah.
assumed that there was an affair where there isn't one, just based on his negative reaction to being accused of having one.
Right.
And first of all, most of this needs to fall on the coworker, and he needs to rein in his
Yes.
wife's behavior and
Yes.
make it clear that it's impacting work. But you need to skip up the ladder of the HR department, because whoever was handling this didn't handle it right at all.
Right.
And you need to go above them to whoever is in charge of them.
I
Just-
agree.
Go up as far as you can
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just make it clear, like, hey, this is being totally mishandled,
Yeah.
and I don't appreciate being made out to be like an affair partner in a situation where that's not happening.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Wow. So literally the wife and HR are jumping to conclusions here.
Yeah.
That's the worst possible outcome.
Truly. And maybe reach out to the boss directly
Mm-hmm.
and also be like, hey, I heard what happened at that dinner. That is not true.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
I don't know, let your voice be heard
Yes.
at the very least.
Yes.
But that is the end of that story.
Woohoo.
I served my husband divorce papers the day before he thought he was coming back home.
Oh, that's what he thinks.
Ooh, that's
Thought.
what you think.
You thought.
Trigger warning, there's some substance abuse and violence in this story. If that is something that you want to skip, go to the next story and we'll see you there. I'm sorry, this is really long. Backstory, I, 59 female, was married to my now ex, 57 male. We'll call him Ed. For 10 years, and we were together for 13 in total. But originally, met him 40 years ago as teenagers. He was in my circle of friends, but we never dated. By the way, this comes from a KCS65, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So we used to live in Florida, but when I was 19, I moved back to Michigan, where I'm originally from. 27 years later, I went back to the city in Florida where I used to live to visit friends. I ran into Ed while on vacation, and we began talking on the phone daily. 3 months later, he left for Florida and moved in with me. 3 years later, we got married. Not my first, but his first. We had our ups, we had our downs, but we mainly got along fine and didn't argue much. He would throw tantrums if things didn't go his way and would punish me by sleeping on the edge of the bed, which
Wait.
was fine with me, or he would not talk to me and slam things. That doesn't sound great. 2 years into our marriage, things went horribly wrong when he got into substances. It was horrible. One night, I finally had had enough and was on the phone with my mother-in-law, telling her I was sending him back to Florida when the sheriff's department knocked on my door. Someone had found my husband unconscious, attacked in a ditch a block from our house. We lived in a small village with woods across the street. I raced to the hospital and didn't recognize him when I saw him. He was so swollen. Now, my husband was a man who could fight and he was strong. Come to find out, it took 3 men to do this. They thought they could rob him since it was payday, but when he had been home purposefully, he had left his wallet at home. I sat with him 24/7 while he was in trauma ICU. I slept on a couch in his room. I prayed over him. I bathed him and took care of him even after he came home. This actually saved his life. He got clean, went back to work full time, always putting me and my grandson first before his needs. He went to work and came back home, and that was it. 4 years later, I finished my education and became an ordained priest and have been a pastor at my church ever since. At first, he didn't mind, but then he would say things like, I didn't sign up for this, even though I never pushed church on him. I knew he believed in God and prayed daily. I would invite him to Christmas and Easter service, and he also came when I ordained my grandson, who calls him Grandpa, who was baptized. For several years, things were really good. Then suddenly, he began coming home from work, showering, changing clothes, and leaving.
That's some suspicious behavior.
It's almost as shocking.
Shocking, indeed.
For several years, things were really good. Then he began coming home from work, showering, changing clothes, and leaving. At first, he said it was to watch whatever sports were playing on TV because we didn't have live TV. Then he told me that he'd be back whenever he got back. Then things went back to how they were. We laughed a lot, we joked around, and I began getting the usual kiss goodbye before he left for work. One night, he had done his laundry like he always did, and I talked to him while he was folding it. He never wanted me to do his laundry, so that wasn't new. We ended the night laughing as he was trying on some old clothes. The next morning, woke up and went out to the living room to ask what time he had to be at work at, but he was gone. I assumed that he had to be there early, so I walked back in the bedroom and saw his keys on the bed, which made me wonder why he would walk to work on such a cold day. It was December 1st. Dakota, dare I say, things are getting escalatingly suspicious.
Yeah, he's going up the escalator of suspicion right now.
Escalators of suspicion. I started leaving the bedroom again and noticed his laundry basket missing, so I went to the laundry room and it wasn't there. I went back into the bedroom and noticed his closet was empty. I called him to see where he was at and asked if he had moved out, and of course his answer was yes. Come to find out that he had met a woman at his job who works for one of those shopping apps where people buy and deliver your groceries. He worked for a large grocery store chain. He had moved in with her. Over the next 6 months, He called almost daily and would say things like, our marriage will survive this, just give me time. He even told me he would be mad if I began dating. During one of our phone calls, he told me he wasn't happy with her and was going down to Florida to visit family. He wanted to come back to me when he came back to Michigan. The plan was he would pack his things that he couldn't live without, but leave a few things at his new girlfriend's house to make her think he was coming home to her. He planned on giving a 2-week notice to his job while gone and planned on looking for another job when he came home. By this time, I knew I didn't want him back. I found my self-worth again and had made new friends with neighbors once he was gone. Come to find out, nobody liked him. Even the woman at the gas station across the street told me how he flirted with them when he came in. Even an elder at my church found out he was cheating, but didn't tell me because she didn't want to hurt me.
Can we normalize telling people that they're being cheated on, please? Please, can we normalize that? I know there's a lot of like, and there's maybe very seldom, there are some occasions where it's like, maybe mind your own business, but
Anonymous.
not like that. Not like that.
Boom. I went to the courthouse and got a divorce, packed and filled out all the paperwork. Where I live, I was able to serve him myself. I decided that since he chose to end our marriage while working at the store, I would officially end it there. So the day he was supposed to fly to Florida, I made sure I looked really good. New hairstyle, new makeup, and my outfit. I went to his job, found him, and handed him the divorce papers. I told him that he was wrong. Our marriage wasn't surviving this. You should have seen his face. He was actually upset with tears in his eyes. And for a moment, I felt bad. But then I reminded myself what he had done to me. He didn't just leave me in the middle of the night, but he stopped talking and doing things with my grandson who thought grandpa was the greatest. He left me in a house that I couldn't afford without him, and I would have been homeless if my church hadn't have paid for an apartment. He told me women were stupid. He actually thought that he could come home as if nothing had happened. That was one thing that he said to me on the phone because I never brought up the past. Last week, 6 months after our divorce was final, my car was repossessed. When we were together, he got 2 loans and I agreed to use my SUV as collateral because I never pictured my life without him. And now here we are picturing your life without him and no SUV. Now I wasn't notified because they sent him the letters. They wanted me to pay off his loans to get it back. I burst out laughing, and said that'll never happen. So my question is, am I the a-hole for serving him the way I did? There's an update. Thank you for the comments and for the support. Here's a reminder of what happened. My now ex-husband got a loan while we were married and used my own car as collateral. A year later, he left me for someone he met at work. He kept telling me that our marriage would survive just to give him time. He ended up not being happy with her, planned to come back to me after he left to visit his family out of state. He planned on not telling his girlfriend he was leaving her, pulling this, that's his classic move.
Hey, it's the classic
move.
Hey, I've done this one before. It was a huge hit.
His plan was to return home to me when he came home. The day before he left to visit his family, I served him with the divorce papers. 2 weeks ago, my car was repossessed and the bank wanted me to pay off $3,000 of his 2 loans that he had stopped paying on, $5,700 total. I was willing to pay my car off, but told them I'd never pay for his loans, and they refused. Here's what happened since my post. So we're getting into the real juice now. I found out where my car was being held at. 2 cities away. When I went to their website, I discovered that it's also a location where they sell repossessed cars at an online auction. They hold it every Monday for 24 hours. I called and asked if I could have my belongings out of it, and they said yes. When I arrived, they had my things in a bag, including my license plate. I registered online, and this past Monday began bidding for my car. I ended up buying my car for $2,700.
Wow.
That is like $3,000 cheaper than the full payout of all the loans. When I showed up to get my car, the people laughed and said, I'm not the first person to do this. I put my plate back on and went home. By the way, you can slap a plate in your car, drive home, and listen to the greatest show on earth. In fact, full episodes of it with stories just like this. Go to Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen. Search OK Storytime. You're welcome.
Huzzah!
Listen to the pod. Now, I know the bank can still come after me for the balance, but I honestly don't care if it hits my credit report. I don't use credit cards. And in October, my daughter closed on a brand new house. I had no other bills except my cell and utilities. I'm now living with her and my grandson. I was lucky enough to have enough time in to retire when my muscular dystrophy began causing more health issues and the money that goes to my other bank. My mother-in-law was happy to give me his new address so I can sue my ex for the other half of our income tax return that he kept last year.
Let's go.
She's even having us, me, daughter, grandson, stay with her when we visit Florida during my grandson's spring break. OP has literally, the mom is literally like, I choose you over my own son.
Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, it makes sense at this point.
We love to see it. We honestly love to see it.
He's a stinky little closet emptier.
Right. She's calling Ed's ex-girlfriend Teresa, Trina, Tracy, everything except her real name, which does start with the letter T. I love woman.
That's nice. And you know, we like that.
We
a little
like
bit.
that.
We like being a little annoying sometimes. If
To the-
it's to annoying people.
The people who truly like this man right here. OP did everything. And he leaves, no word, gets with new girl, pulls the same thing on her and expects he's coming back to open arms.
Yeah, because these ladies are so dumb. What a crazy thing to think.
He says
To
that
have
to her.
said out loud.
On the phone to her about their own situation.
You, my friend, are the stupid one.
Wow. I
my
mean,
friend, my enemy. That's a whole other can of worms I don't have to open right now.
Good
I'm making this
job,
guy
good
my
job.
enemy. Enemy, he's my enemy.
But that's the end of that story.
My wife insists I reject a high-paying job offer because my ex-girlfriend works there.
Ah.
That's giving jealousy.
I was going to say the same thing. Jealous much?
Jealous? I, 36 male, have been having an argument with my wife regarding this issue for the past few days. I wanted some neutral opinions, especially from married women, on what you would do in this scenario, which Keon and I are both that.
I am a married woman.
Keon and I are both married women together.
Aren't we
yeah.
great?
Yeah. By the way, this comes from TA Coworker X. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/Okie Storytime subreddit. So I work in the tech field and our research area is very niche. I had issues with my current company and started interviewing at different companies. At one of the companies, I ran into Amy, who I dated 14 years ago. That's so many years ago.
Time flies when your life's falling apart.
I guess so. We dated for 3 years and broke up amicably as I wanted to pursue further studies and she wanted me to settle down. I met my wife a year after our breakup and I was still friends with occasional benefits with Amy till then. Okay. So that does shift a little bit. I was upfront about the whole situation with my wife, and she told me early on during our dating that my friendship with Amy bothers her. I loved my wife and was serious about us, and it was a no-brainer for me to stop hanging out with Amy. Amy was confused, but understood why I did it. We have not spoken to each other since then. My wife and I have been married for 11 years now and have one super cute toddler. During the interview process, Amy was one of the interviewers, and we had a nice professional discussion. I received a job offer from that company the very next week. I would be in middle management and Amy would be directly reporting to me. I have already informed the hiring manager regarding Amy and they seem to have no problems with it. I also have 2 more job offers and I negotiated with all the companies, and the first company where Amy works is willing to pay me almost $80,000 more than the other companies.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's pretty significant. However, my wife told me that I promised her that I would not be in touch with Amy many years ago, and she's asking me to take the offer from the company who is willing to offer the second most compensation. Her reasoning is it would be awkward for me to be Amy's manager, and since we both work in the same field, it's not like I can transfer her to another manager. She insists that it's not insecurity, but I made a promise. She says that it's finally my choice, but she does not feel comfortable with me managing Amy and working with her. I see her side as I would have to travel with my team, including Amy, for a few days to an on-site location at least once a month. I can see why it would make my wife nervous. I personally want to join the first company as the compensation is higher and the experience in that company would be very valuable to me. Would I be the a-hole if I decided to go with the first company? It will offer my family a lot of financial security and would be good for my career. I do not want that taken away because of Amy. At the same time, I want my wife to be comfortable and not be constantly worried about the situation I will be putting her in. And there are some comments and an update.
Okay.
But
What would you do?
the thing is,
If you were put in this, no, just before you even explain yourself
Yeah.
or you give any advice, what would you do in this situation? That
if I had
you
a
were in
really
Opie's shoes?
good career
Yeah.
option, I think I have to explain a little bit. I think
Yeah, you do.
I think I think
No,
I,
just-
I can't
A or
just
B.
jump-
Which door do you pick, Sophia?
No, I think that it would take a lot because I understand why she might be a little uncomfortable. However, this is not you having a friendship with Amy. That would be totally different. If you were
It's
having
a
a
workship.
friendship with Amy, I would understand why your wife is uncomfortable. But this is like you're working with her. And
Be
you've already,
professional.
and you're also in a managerial position. So that's also like if something happened, you would be
HR.
putting your career on the line.
Yeah.
But I also think that this is something that you need to have a conversation with her and figure out a way for her to understand, your wife, that is, because you guys are married. And, if you take the job and your wife's still, saying like, don't take that, like, I didn't want you to take the job, it's going to cause problems. It just is.
But then I feel like as OP, if you listen to your wife in this situation, you're going to resent that decision.
Well, I'm not saying don't take the job. I think you should take the job. I think it's
I'm
a
just
really,
saying, I'm just saying,
yeah.
It's like I feel like it's one of those things where both parties, someone is going to lose.
Exactly. So, but I just think it's like, how can we work towards an understanding? Because
it's not even a compromise. It's like, this is a huge job opportunity.
You should take the job, but also you shouldn't do it without like trying to help your wife understand that, hey, this is not a friendship that I'm restarting with Amy. I am working with her.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is important. I think this is important for us as a family.
This revolves around one big word.
Yeah.
Trust.
But there are some comments. Comment 1 says, I can't call you the a-hole for taking a job offer like this, and I get why you want to. But the bottom line here is that Reddit can validate you all you want, but Reddit doesn't live in your marriage. What would be the result for your marriage if you took the offer against your wife's wishes? Will she understand in time? Will she hold resentment? Will you hold resentment if you don't take the offer? Which is,
Oh, look at
what
that.
we freaking
my
said.
goodness.
Look at us being all smart.
I can read the future.
And OP says, that's what makes the situation very confusing. I am inclined to go with my wife's happiness over an objectively better offer. However, it feels wrong to make the decision when I fully know I will be professional and maintain healthy boundaries. I also do not want to feel resentful towards my wife because I know where she's coming from. But there's also a difference between wanting to not feel resentment and eventually feeling it. Like you can't really control that.
Like I said, it's gonna happen either way. Unfortunately, even if you talk about it, it's just. Ugh.
There is an update, so let's jump in. I wanted to give a quick update. I posted a week ago regarding being confused about a job offer that my wife wanted me to reject because of my ex, let's call her Amy, would be directly reporting to me. I know a lot of you pointed out why it's such a bad idea, but I want to be honest here. The reason why I wrote this post was to get ideas on how I can convince my wife that I should take the position. I felt that I have never given my wife a reason to not trust me, except one time, long story, and I should not be making important life decisions that benefit my family because of Abby, who I have not spoken to in 14 years. On Friday evening, we had a long discussion as my kid was at my sister-in-law's place for a play date. As many of you guys pointed out, my wife might be insecure with me hanging out with Abby, specifically because we were friends with benefits after our breakup. I asked her about it and told her to be honest, as I would never make a decision without her being 100% on board. My wife said that out of all my ex-girlfriends, she felt a bit insecure about her. The reason was because I did not get a clean breakup with her and had lingering feelings even when I met my wife. For context, when I met my wife through mutual friends, I was still friends with benefits with Amy for a few months after. However, I cleared things with Amy and broke up for good before I asked my wife on our first date. My wife had heard about how I was not able to get over Amy before that and only agreed to date me after I told her that I decided to go no contact with Amy. He was not able to get over Amy for like a couple, it wasn't that long.
It wasn't like 2 years.
No, it was a couple months.
I mean,
that's fair.
That's fair. And like you guys were never solidified in a relationship until
2-year relationship, friends with benefits for a couple months out. Obviously, it's going to take a minute.
Yeah.
And also, again, this was not when you were dating. So.
And guess what? OP was honest.
Yeah. And also went no contact with Amy for his wife.
OP was honest and was upfront about everything and communicated and did everything that his future, in that scenario, his future wife wanted.
Yeah. I asked my wife if she feels I will be less loyal to her if I'm around Amy. My wife and kids are everything to me, and I assured her that there are no circumstances where I would even think of stepping out of line to risk that. I also assured her that I will maintain professional boundaries with each of my direct report, as I have been doing over the last many years, and Amy will be no different. However, if I miss out on this job opportunity because of Amy, I would always feel like, irrespective of what I do, my wife does not 100% trust me. I like this honest conversation they're having.
Yeah.
It's not, I also like that OP's not saying, oh, I would resent you for it. It's saying, I feel like you don't trust me, and I want to know how do I fix that?
Yeah.
My wife said that she trusts me 100% and does not want me to feel like I'm doing something wrong.
I don't believe that statement.
She said she does not want some hypothetical scenario affecting the important decisions I make in my career and is okay with me accepting the offer. She asked me to make sure that we set up specific rules about Amy. One of them being no communication outside of work, maintain only strictly professional communication, and always communicate with my wife about everything about Amy. Amy messaged me on Saturday about how it was great to see me during interview process, and I immediately told my wife.
It's kind of funny.
Based on her idea, I replied back to her on LinkedIn and will make sure any of our communication stays there. He's like, hello. It was nice to be in the workplace with you. I look
Coworker.
forward to being your boss.
Thank you,
And maintaining professional relationship.
coworker.
I had until Monday to accept the offer. Yesterday, when I went into my office, I was planning to call the other company during lunchtime. However, my manager asked me to come to a meeting room to discuss something urgent. My current company knew that I was entertaining other offers, I had told them, and decided to match the offer from Amy's company. It is not exactly the same compensation, but it is only $20K less than their offer. That's
20K's
a lot. That's a lot.
Listen, to both of us, that's a lot.
That's
to
a
you,
lot.
it could be probably couch change, but come on.
That's a lot. Plus, they also assured me that they would promote me as soon as a director level position opens up in one of the teams. It was amazing, and I called my wife. She was very happy, and of course, I decided to stay at my current job. Okay,
That's
well,
fine. If that's
I guess it was his current job, so perhaps that allows
he's
for
comfortable
more.
with it,
yeah.
that's fine. That's fine. I mean,
Okay.
everyone who wins here other than Amy.
By the way, you can win too if you go listen to full episodes with stories just like this. You can go to OK Storytime on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, or your favorite podcast app.
You can go to OK Storytime.
You can go search up OK Storytime. But there's a little bit left to this story. Seems like it's all working
this
out.
Coinkadinkly
Yeah.
worked.
I
That's
guess
great.
just like pressure your bosses and tell them I'm leaving and this
And
person's
match
giving
this
me.
if you don't.
Yeah, match it or I'm out of here.
But guess what? With all of that, with the work and everything all aside, this was a great, I think, therapeutic. Like without the therapist,
Absolutely. It was
with
still
your
a great
wife.
conversation and great communication.
like that was like
Test run.
a great test run.
Yeah.
Of like even if that did happen,
Testing of the emergency warning system.
and communicating thoroughly and like willingly.
Indeed. But let's finish this off.
Yeah.
Overall, I feel happy that I got a big raise at my current place and also know that my wife is not insecure and trusts me 100%. Edit, since a lot of people are asking what the one thing was. Yes! It was stupid. Years ago, my wife's friend told me we kissed while drunk and I did not tell my wife. Her friend thought I was her husband and apologized a lot. I told my wife after a few days later out of guilt. My wife, who had seen the whole incident and laughed because I drunkenly pushed her away after she tried to kiss me, which I do not remember.
Oh my god!
But that was about it. Okay. So someone else kissed you, you pushed them away while drunk, didn't remember it, and then someone told you and you're like, oh my god, what have I done?
And then your wife saw it.
She was
Okay, can we? The wife is a little too not demanding or controlling, but I think she's just like she's not insecure, but she's got to be a little bit insecure here.
Well, it seems like she laughed. She was like
She did.
chill about it.
But that's the thing, like,
Oh, you think she fake laughed? She was like, ha ha ha.
like I was waiting for you. I don't know. I feel like
I think they're chill.
I think they're chill, but I think the way she goes on about it, it made me a little stressful. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not.
The job stuff.
Yeah, like I think she has like 99 point
Yeah, she's 99.5%
trusting.
secure.
Yeah, it's like that 0.05, what have you. It's just like, yeah.
But that was about it. She still teases me and her friend about it to this day. Okay, comments. Comment 1 says, give us another update when Amy keeps sliding into your DMs. And comment 2, you handled it with the way you're supposed to, discussing everything with your wife and agreeing how to address the situation with Amy being your subordinate. It's awesome that your current job offered you the pay increase so you wouldn't leave. That just proves you're good at your job and they do not want to lose you. Now that that's all cleared up and you will not be working together, there's no need to be in contact with Amy anymore. So keep your promise to your wife and stay away from her.
Yeah. All you gotta
Slay.
all you gotta say on LinkedIn is like, thank you, bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. And that is the end of that story and the end of this episode.
If you want more stories like this, search for our podcast, OK Storytime, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
My boyfriend is too close to his female coworker, so I want to draw boundaries.
Draw them. Draw the boundaries.
First, some background and the good stuff. Okay. I have been best friends with my boyfriend since 2013. We even lived together during graduate school for 2 years before we started dating. Whoa. We started dating in 2016 when we were roommates, so we've been together around 2.5 years now and have lived together for a lot of that time. By the way, this comes from It's Me, 2213, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/Okie Storytime subreddit. So, we did a brief stint of long distance when we got jobs in different locations after school. In January of this year, he moved states to be with me, and I still can't get over how amazing that was of him. We are now living together again in our own apartment, and we couldn't be happier. He is my best friend and absolutely the person I plan to spend the rest of my life with. He's smart, funny, an absolute sweetheart and a romantic, and he makes me feel so loved every day. We have talked about our future many times, and I'm anticipating a proposal in the near future. Also, he has many female friends during our time together, and this has never bothered me. I'm rarely the jealous type. He's hung out one-on-one with girls before, and I have no complaints. There has been one girl I told him I was uncomfortable with, and he stopped hanging out with her, but that was a lot of reasons, not just because she's a girl. So, on to the recent issue.
Uh-oh.
After moving to my state, he has had to pass a couple of tests in our field before he could start working. He did so and was able to secure a job in early June. He likes his new job so far and generally likes and gets along with his coworkers, but he hadn't really made any real friends yet. He's hung out with my coworkers, sort of friends too. I'm also pretty new to the area and likes them as well, but no one he would hang out with one-on-one. I know he is missing having a group of friends back in his home state where he moved from. About a month ago, maybe a little more, he started mentioning one coworker a lot.
Oh.
We'll call her Liz.
Question.
Yes.
What does Liz look like?
Is she hot?
Is she hot?
At first, it was just in passing. My coworker Liz said this or that.
And she's so hot.
She's my hot coworker. It also turns out Liz used to work with an organization that works closely with my organization, so she knows a lot of people that I work with and what's going on with my job and field of work. So it was a small world kind of thing. She would mention someone I knew or something about my job, and he would tell her he also knew that person because of me, that kind of thing. But he started talking about her more and more often. I'm talking probably every single day over for a few weeks, he would have a story about Liz or something that she said. So I knew they were talking or hanging out at work a lot.
So my hot coworker Liz the other day decided, like, what if we just kissed? So we kissed, but it was like, babe, it was so platonic how we kissed with my hot coworker Liz.
He did say that Liz mentioned she wanted to meet me, and she has a fiance that she lives with. So that made me feel good. Nothing to worry about, and I was happy he was making a friend here. Liz actually lived nearby us in a temporary place because they were moving around for her fiance's job. So a couple of weeks ago, he tells me that Liz suggested they start carpooling to work together. Their office is about 30 minutes away without traffic, but our city always has traffic, so it's more like 45 minutes each way most days. Honestly, this made me a little uncomfortable since this meant they would be spending an hour to an hour and a half alone together in the car every time they rode together. But I didn't say anything because they wouldn't be carpooling every day. Some days they work in the office and other days they work on projects around town. So this would only be days when they both go into the office, maybe 2 to 3 days a week. Besides, he only mentioned it in passing as an idea at first. A few days later, as he was headed out the door, he said, "Okay, I'm going to go pick up Liz and head to work. I'm going to go pick up hot Liz and head to work." I was surprised because he never told me they decided to definitely start carpooling together. But it obviously wasn't a big deal. He's like, "Oh, it was totally fine.
I really don't mind it."
He has never mentioned it again. So as far as I know, that's the only day they've ridden together. It hasn't been an ongoing thing. I was fine with this. Things started intensifying quickly last week, though. Uh-oh. As I mentioned,
Hot
Liz and her fiance were in a temporary place before, so they decided to start looking for a permanent apartment.
Wait, hold up.
Yeah.
She has a fiance.
She's got a fiance. That's why OP was like, I wasn't that worried. My boyfriend casually mentioned to me one day last week that they were actually interested in our building and that they wanted to come see it the next day. This came out of left field for me. Our building is very nice. It's a luxury building in a good area downtown, but there are also tons of similar buildings in the area. But I figure they were just checking out all kinds of places, and ours was probably one of many on the list. So late last week, they came by our building for a tour. I actually saw them briefly on the elevator, and we met for the first time. But they were being given a tour by management, so we didn't hang out. Well, later that night, Liz texted my boyfriend that they decided to rent in our building. I honestly didn't know what to say because I wasn't thrilled. I felt like now they will definitely want to start carpooling together every day they can, and they will start becoming even closer. My boyfriend was obviously very happy about it when he told me. I just kind of asked if they were looking at any other places and why they weren't looking any closer to where she and my boyfriend work. And he said they just really like this building, and our fiance works more closely to our area, so it works for them to live there. Also, okay, I'm actually not really suspicious at all.
OP is uncomfortable and is not naming that to her partner. It's such an option to name your discomfort without having to make the other person wrong or the situation wrong, but of like, I'm feeling a little insecure. I'm uncomfortable with this. Can you help me feel better about this? Like, can I have more details? I'm making conclusions in my mind. There's so many ways to go about it, but it seems like you're kind of like, you're holding discomfort and then you're trying to like skirt around it.
We're going to get back to the story, but Sam, you have a copious amount of something.
What, John?
X's.
I have like 4 or 5 or 6.
I heard of 6 with a 0
All
behind
right,
it.
that 60 number, comes from somewhere else.
Where does that come from?
It comes from our OK Storytime membership.
Yeah, that's freaking right. We have 60 plus hours of exclusive live streams on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
It's only $5 a month, so go to the link in our description, youtube.com/OKOP show/join.
Join a club almost as exclusive as Sam's X is. Well, let's get back to the story.
Ever since then, I feel like they have already been talking more and more. They text and have called each other a couple of times. To be fair, as far as I know, it has all been either work or apartment related. But I also don't really see his phone and have no idea how much they actually talk. A couple of final things prompted me to write this post. Up until now, I wasn't thrilled about all of this, but could deal with it. This weekend, we traveled to visit my family for the holiday weekend. Yesterday, during a family lunch, he got up and went into the other room with his phone for a few minutes. When he came back, I asked, "Where'd you go?" And he just said I was getting a phone call. Later, I asked who was calling him at lunch. He said it was Liz with
Not
a few
Liz.
questions because they were moving in at the time. This slightly bothered me because I felt like if I hadn't asked, he wasn't planning to tell me it was Liz who called.
Does he need to report every time Liz calls or texts?
He went back to our city last night while I am staying in my hometown with my family for a couple of extra days. While driving him to the airport, I got a random thought. So I asked, "You're just going to take an Uber back home, right?" That's how we got to the airport. He kind of hesitated and then said, "I was actually going to see if maybe Liz could pick me up so I don't have to spend money on an Uber." Yet again, I felt like he never would have mentioned this to me if I hadn't asked. Also, we live close to the airport, so an Uber is not expensive and he makes good money.
He has no friends. He's been wanting friends.
Yeah, and
has
now
been
he's
sad he
made a
doesn't have
friend.
friends. He's made a friend, and he interacts with his friend as any friend would. And now every time that he's interacting with his friend as any friend would, OP is getting upset at that interaction.
I reminded him that Liz and her fiance were moving that day and probably did not want to come pick him up at the airport. I would have said this for anyone. Moving sucks. And he thought about it and agreed, and he didn't end up asking her. I don't know what to do from here. On one hand, I'm genuinely glad he's making a friend. There are no red flags here. Things seem 100% platonic, plus she has a fiance, so we could all be couple friends. On the other hand, he seems to be getting really close to her really quickly. He talks about her constantly. A lot more than I explained in this post. They are probably going to be riding together often, and I feel like he's starting to, unconsciously or not, kind of hide some interactions with her from
I
her.
think he's just happy. He's just excited.
I think he's just happy, and I think if he is unconsciously hiding him, it might be because every time he brings her up, you get weird about it. Is it time to set boundaries? If so, what would reasonable boundaries even be? Is carpooling together too much? Is it okay for them to hang out alone together outside of work? I have no idea, and I've never been in this situation before. I don't know how to talk to him about this. I just feel like we need to have a talk now that she is living in our building, but maybe I should wait and see if things escalate. And there is an update. What do you tell OP?
This is classic nonviolent communication, which is just simply observation, emotion, need, request. So it would be like, hey, I'm noticing you're getting super close to this friend. I'm feeling a little uncomfortable, maybe a little insecure, maybe not considered, maybe confused. There's so many different emotions you can name. And then you could have, and then after that, name a need. So it's like, I'm having a need to be respected. I'm having a need to be considered. I'm having blah, blah, blah. And then you could talk about what that looks like.
A lot has happened since my last post, and I got some good advice there, so I wanted to post an update. After I made the last post, I came home from the trip with my family a couple of days later. I told my boyfriend that I wanted to talk to him about something, and I brought up his friendship with Liz. I basically brought up all of my concerns from the post. I told him that I didn't want to discourage him from having a friend, but I also felt like they were talking quite a lot and spending a lot of time together, and that it was starting to make me feel uncomfortable. My boyfriend took it really well. He immediately reassured me that he only saw her as a friend, and that he hadn't even realized how it could look to me. When I brought up how I felt like he wasn't being forthcoming with information, like how he didn't mention the phone call from her, he said that was 100% unintentional. He then immediately asked what he could do going forward to make me feel more comfortable. He offered to stop carpooling with her and to cut down on contact with her except for work-related stuff. That's a bummer. He offered to stop carpooling with her and to cut down on contact with her except for work-related stuff. So basically stop being her friend. I don't like that.
It's really sweet.
I told him I didn't have a problem with the carpooling because financially it does make sense. He spends a lot of money on gas. But maybe he could try to text and call her outside of work a little bit less. I also told him I would really love to meet her and her fiance, and he enthusiastically agreed.
Oh.
He set up a hangout for the following weekend. The two of us and Liz and her fiance all went out for drinks at a bar by our building. They were moved in by now. It was actually really fun.
Let's go.
Woo! It turns out we have a ton in common. Liz and I do very similar work, and we all have common nerdy interests. It was a little awkward at first, as meeting new people often is, but once we all got comfortable, we had a blast. From there, we have all become fast friends, and Liz and I have developed our own separate friendship too. We text often, go over to each other's places for dinner sometimes, and hang out on weekends. I can honestly say I really like Liz and her fiance as a person, and trust her 100%. I no longer have a problem with her friendship with my boyfriend at all. They do still carpool together, but they've never hung out alone outside of work. It's always the four of us. I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders. Finally, I have a separate but slightly related update. My boyfriend is now my fiance. Woo! Less than a month after I made my last post, he took me out for a really beautiful and romantic dinner. When we came home, our apartment was covered in roses and candles. I was so shocked I could barely move as he got down on one knee and proposed. Whoa. I said yes, and then cried for about 2 hours as we all called our family and friends. It was absolutely perfect, and we're getting married next year.
He said, babe, I love you more than anything in the world, and I want you to be my hot Liz forever.
But you can be our hot Liz if you go watch full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search up OK Storytime. But there is a little bit more to this story. It turns out that Liz actually helped him plan the proposal. And that was part of why they were talking a lot too. Since she lives in our building now, he has had all the flowers, candles, champagne, and accessories shipped to her and kept at her place until he was ready for them. He even had her hold onto the ring the week before he did it. After he proposed, she came upstairs and took photos for us and cried with us. That was the moment I realized what a great friend she is to both of us. So communication saves the day again. We're all great friends now, and Liz and I have regular girls' nights to plan our weddings together.
So sweet.
Love it. Edit. Wow. I know this is stereotypical, but I never expected my post to blow up. Blah, blah, blah. You guys rule. And that is the end of that story.
Another happy ending.
Woo!
My friend disrespected my home rules, so I left her empty-handed.
Ooh, you're not getting nothing out of no one.
I will truly spare no detail. I'm giving you the full backstory, all the drama, all the twists and turns, and everything that happens. All the people and all the opinions. It's a story about a girl who was all around messy, stupid, and a compulsive liar, most likely, and how she basically destroyed her life. My revenge isn't petty because she pretty much did everything herself, but I was still satisfied, and it filled my cup of revenge. By the way, this comes from user StockFun1001, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. Been thinking about posting this story for a while since I got my fair share of petty points for doing what I did, but also it was deserved, so I'm not even sorry. Maybe someone will get some enjoyment out of it. I've been told before to post this story on Reddit, and now I'm ready to share. This all happened about 3 years ago. I, female 24 at the time, was together with my then boyfriend, now ex, male 25 at the time, Chris. He had a work friend about the same age as us. Honestly, I can't remember her exact age. Probably around 24 or 25 at the time, same as ours. We'll call her Dana. Since Chris worked as a delivery driver for a really big delivery company, I spent some of my free days just driving around in the passenger seat of his delivery van. We had fun, we ate snacks and listened to music. I liked being a passenger princess. Dana was his colleague, also a delivery driver for the same company, doing the exact same job, just delivering packages to a different area in the city. They had become really good, just platonic friends, so some mornings when they waited for their vans to be loaded, I saw her around, and eventually we started talking and really hit it off. All three of us started hanging out together. Dana was a real extrovert, loud and always laughing about everything, loving to be the center of attention, a little bit too much drinky poo for every day, but hey, I can't judge. She loved all the attention from men and all that, but at the same time, it was fun to be around her. She was a friend you could call and know that she would be down for whatever. So we all went to a car show together. Friends gatherings, swimming, fishing. My boyfriend loved doing that. Just driving around the city at night. Sometimes me and her would talk about our experiences, our relationships, the drama, the trauma, and everything in between. She and I shared some similar experiences and relationship and family traumas. So we really connected. Not to make this longer, but our trio became really good friends. A couple of months go by. Enter another character from Chris's work, Jack. Also the same job. Also a car guy, like my boyfriend, so he started to hang with us sometimes as well. If I'm not mistaken, they knew each other beforehand, and Chris got him a job there since it was great and the pay was pretty nice. Since they started working together, Chris and he would hang around pretty much every day around their cars. They were both BMW folk and were practically married to their cars. Jack started to like Dana. She wasn't his usual type. He was more of a blonde, skinny, demure, girly girl kind of guy, and Dana was the exact opposite. Fire red hair, a noticeably big girl, and definitely not demure or girly. Her style was a lot of makeup, black see-through tops, and leather shorts. Now we're pretty much a 4-person friend group. Me and my boyfriend, Jack and Dana. Jack was trying to get Dana's attention, and she was loving it. He would pay for her drinks, her food, and would take her on drives in his car. They were texting and meeting, and stuff was happening. Me and my boyfriend were happy. It would be pretty cool if they had gotten together. Me and Dana would also text and talk a lot in private without the boys. One evening when she was at our place, I asked how things were going with Jack. She opened up that she didn't really like him. He wasn't her type at all, but she liked the attention and he was really nice towards her. They go out and drive around practically every night, talking and blah, blah, blah. She feels safe with him. He was openly expressing that he likes her and maybe would like something more. She is still thinking about that in his eyes, but in reality, her mind is set that nothing more is going to happen. I was kind of disappointed. Not because she didn't like him. Frankly, I didn't care about that. Can't change the way you feel about a person. If you don't like someone romantically, that's completely fine. But I was disappointed because she let this thing just go on for so long. Kind of like stringing him along and not saying anything. I, of course, talked to Chris about this since we talk about everything. His opinion was just let that conversation go. They'll figure it out themselves. And I was on board with that. I also didn't want to start any unnecessary drama. It's not my place. So for the next month or so, me and Chris knew nothing. Jack was sometimes asking Chris or me some questions, trying to get out of us some information about whether Dana liked him at all. And we just told him that she didn't really say much. And that was kind of true because after me and Dana talked about Jack that one time, we never really brought it up again. We all just continued to hang out. When all of us were together, you would think that Dana and Jack were a couple. Sometimes even more of a couple than me and Chris. They had kissed, but they were not together officially. I don't know about the spicy tango, but one evening, mine and Chris's phones were blowing up, and it was Dana. She wanted to meet. She sounded distressed on the phone. So we jump in the car and we go to her place. came outside her apartment building and jumped into our car. We saw that she had been crying. She has makeup smudged all over her. She told us that her boyfriend broke up with her.
When did y'all become boyfriend, girlfriend?
I thought somebody was not feeling anything about this guy.
You said that you didn't like him.
I didn't know she had a boyfriend, other than Jack, who could maybe be considered as one. But it turned out all this time, she had a boyfriend. Tom! Chris knew nothing of that. He remembered that some time ago, before Jack was in the scene, Dana used to casually refer to dating their colleague, Tom, but it never really went anywhere and she stopped bringing him up. So he just assumed that there was nothing there. And he and Tom were not really that close at work. In reality, she and Tom were fully together. She moved in with him. They were together for 8 months, and now that Tom broke up with her, she had nowhere to go and was crying in our car begging for our help since she was now homeless. While she was crying in our car, she also opened up about other things in her life. She told us that she was also leaving her job, that almost 2 weeks ago she had handed in her 2 weeks notice and that she had to work only one more shift. She hated her job and was tired of it, so decided to quit and search for another job. Tom had told her he would support her in the meantime. Me and Chris both knew that she had issues with money. She had told us that before, but we really didn't know the extent of that. According to her, when she was about 18, her then boyfriend had taken multiple loans out in her name, and she was still paying them off and pretty much living on nothing. She didn't say how much in the loans she was paying, but after some beating around the bush, we gathered that it could be well over $10,000. For us, that is a lot. So she was in big debt and had nowhere to live and no money and no job. And at this moment, I really felt for this girl. Now, some context on me and my living situation, because it's important to the story. Before me and Chris were together, I used to live alone in an apartment. My dad bought it for me in the city if I ever went to college or something, so he let me live there while he lived elsewhere. I loved that apartment. It was small, a 1-bedroom, nothing fancy. Needed a little work, but I don't really need much. When I started dating Chris, I kind of moved in with him without even noticing. You know how that happens. We just went there to grab my things once in a while to water my houseplants because I had a lot of them at the time, so no one lived in that apartment. I still paid all the bills and most of my stuff was there, and bills were not much since there was no electricity or water being used, and I didn't have to pay any rent because my dad owned it. Now back to the story. I offered for her to stay in my apartment. It was actually pretty logical for me. She could move in there. She wouldn't have to pay me any rent, just pay the utility bills, altogether around 100 euros a month, which is really cheap, and water my houseplants once a week. With this situation, she would pretty much have her own place. Even if she didn't find a job right away, it'd be fine. She could pay me back those utility bills when she got back on her feet. We'd think of something. I would let her stay for as long as she needed, and she could live there fully and unpack with ease. I wouldn't have to go there. She could just live there and everything's fine. I understood her situation. I'd been in similar ones. I wanted to be a good friend and help. I told her about my place, that it's not a fancy apartment, but still okay. Furniture is pretty old. Most of it is from the time when I was a baby, which is more than 20 years old. The fridge is 20 years old, but works wonderfully. It hasn't been renovated in a while, so the walls and the floor don't have any aesthetic. But the furniture is solid. I have everything in life I need, and the kitchen is pretty cool, my favorite room, and I have a lot of house plants, so it looks pretty nice. I did my best to make it feel like a home. Me and Chris were pretty serious at this point, so I would feel safe if I moved in with him permanently. I had been living with him already for 6 to 7 months. I also told her some rules if she decided to say yes. No smoking tobacco inside, which she did sometimes partake in. No new people. Those are the only 2 rules. I think both are pretty self-explanatory. Maybe no new people would raise some questions, but I'm a pretty private person and I rarely bring someone I don't know into my apartment. And since I know that she loves attention from men and occasional one-night stands, plus she is recently broken up with, I didn't want strange men in my apartment just because it's still my home and some of my most important things are there. She took my offer and we talked about what needed to be done. By tomorrow evening, she and her stuff could be there. We took her to our place to stay the night, and the next day we went back to Tom's to get her stuff. She mostly just sat around on Tom's bed and cried while me and Chris packed her stuff and took it to our cars. Then with 2 cars and all of her stuff, we all went to my apartment. Now, my apartment is on the 5th floor with no elevator. For me, it's never really been an issue. Our first journey up the stairs, though, she had already said some snarky stuff about it being on the 5th floor, and now she'll have to walk up flights of stairs every day. I just brushed it off. Mind you, she didn't even help us take her stuff up. She just went up and sat on my bed, still crying, still depressed. While she's sitting on the bed crying and stressed eating a taco, I did some reorganizing, taking my clothes out of the closet so she had closet space, cleaning out some drawers, all of that. I packed most of my stuff anyway, where it wouldn't get into the way of normal living. Chris is walking up and down the stairs with her stuff, plopping it all in a pile in the living room floor, exhausted. At this point, he has carried all of her stuff up 5 flights of stairs. I talk a little with Dana while she starts putting some stuff away and commenting on the size of my apartment. A lot of snarky comments, but again, I brush it off.
Girl, at that point, I'd be like, excuse me, you're living here for free?
I am not even kidding. My reaction to that is, so looks like we're going to take all your stuff back downstairs. I'll take you to a shelter. Then you can comment about how small it is there. Actually, I'm pretty sure the communal space at the shelter will be much larger than the apartment I'm letting you live in for free. I tell her a little about how to pay for utilities, ask her to water my plants once a week. We talk about keys. I only had one set, so Chris quickly ran to make another copy. The mail, cleaning the apartment, all the things that you would talk about when leaving someone to live in your apartment. I tell her to text me if she has any questions. After all of that, me and Chris head back home. I text with her for the next couple of days. She seems fine. We periodically try to get her out of the house, but she just comes once. We went for a drive, and actually it was fun. I asked her how everything was with Jack, and she tells us that everything is fine, and they are still friends. From Chris, I knew that he told Jack about everything. About Tom, about the job, about moving. He was pretty shocked and disappointed, but didn't look surprised. After this, we all kind of started living our lives. Chris and Jack were still colleagues and friends and would meet up on the reg. Me and Dana would talk every day. One night, I tell her I remembered that she could file for insolvency. Where we live, you can file for insolvency if you are in big debt and just have no way of paying it back. There are some rules, but I remember that she checked all the boxes, and in that case, her debt would be wiped to basically nothing. She had to pay something, but it was comparatively nothing. To my surprise, she didn't want to do it. She didn't want to go through the hassle of lawyers and meetings and judgments and all that. For the next couple of days, I tried to persuade her. I laid out all the positives. I Googled and found a good lawyer who offered free consultations about that exact problem. So she finally gave in and went to the consultation, and thanks to that consultation and some paperwork, she basically erased her debt. We knew that she and Jack are spending most of the evenings together. She told us about this great job that one of her friends got her in a pretty big company, and things started to look up. Sometimes we would even go for a drive, get a little Mickey D's, take a little trip together. One night we were all at a car meet where she was a little wasted and met a guy and went home with him. For the record, I wouldn't have let her go anywhere with a random guy wasted, but she slipped away from me that night. I couldn't do anything. Everything ended up being fine, though. They went to his place. They hooked up. I get it. Recently single, yada, yada. Anyway, a little over a month goes by. One night, I look at my utility bills online, and I notice she hasn't paid them. There are 2 invoices that she would have to pay, and both are still outstanding. One is pretty fresh, so that would be fine, but the other one is already red. I text her to ask her if she would do it and when, because every day you don't pay, it grows. I notice she also hadn't paid for the electricity bills. I text, she doesn't answer. I see her online. That whole evening, she is online but not reading my message. It starts getting sketchy for me. I talked it out with Chris, and we decided to wait until tomorrow, but I already feel in my gut that some crap is about to go down. I just know she's not going to pay me. And before you say anything, yes, it was my mistake for not signing any kind of lease or agreement with her. I know that, and I will never make this mistake again. And let this be a lesson to you as well. I should have signed some form of sublease agreement or something so that a situation like this could be avoided. But at the same time, I regret nothing. I saw her true colors, and I got my revenge. The next day, no answer. I text again, the same thing happens, no response. Chris texts her, also nothing. She's online on WhatsApp constantly but doesn't read any of our messages. I start to worry, what do? I pay all the bills so they don't get any bigger, and I send her a message that I did so. Also, you now owe me X amount of dollars. If I remember correctly, it was like 170 euros. Still no response. While this is all happening, Chris and Jack are living their regular lives as well. But one thing is different. Jack refuses to talk about Dana at all. Chris tries to throw in that Dana is being an a-hole for not responding to me about bills. Jack is not having it. He just responds that the girls will figure it out themselves. So basically, Chris just lets it go. They continue working and meeting up sometimes to help each other out with their cars. 2 weeks go by. I'm caught up in work, and I don't have time to deal with the Dana drama. I don't text her. She read all the messages on WhatsApp at some point and didn't respond, which is what I kind of knew was going to happen. Weekend rolls by. Chris and I have a free day, and we decide to pay her a visit. She doesn't work on Saturdays, so we took a chance that she was going to be home. One thing from the time she moved in, I had to give her my set of keys because one of the keys that Chris ran to make didn't work, and we decided to get that sorted out later. My apartment door has 2 keys, one big one and one small. No way. I see you. I see you.
Ooh, I see it.
She did not. If this girl changed the locks.
She changed the locks. She changed the locks.
So the new big one was fine, but the new small one wouldn't even turn. So I just gave her my small one until she makes me a new one. We all kind of forgot about it since I didn't have to go there anyway. We really took a chance by going there because I couldn't even get in my apartment. And of course, she wasn't home. Chris had an idea. We could postpone our visit until Monday when she gets off work. It's a bigger chance that she's going to go home from work on Monday. On a Saturday, I wouldn't wait for her all night. She could be anywhere doing anything, and we're right. On Monday, we go back. Chris parks somewhere else so she wouldn't see his car, and we wait in the stairwell. Her car rolls up right on time, and we put our game faces on. We hear her steps coming up the stairs, and to our surprise, when she turns the corner, she's not alone. There's a guy right behind her. She looks completely taken aback, but tries really hard to keep her composure. She says hi and asks us, "What are you doing here?"
And then I'd be like, oh, this is my apartment.
Yeah.
Remember?
Oh, this is the
Remember,
apartment.
this is my apartment?
Chris says that we were just going to check on some stuff, take some stuff with us, and check on my plants. That we couldn't get a hold of her, so we just decided to stop by. She tells us that she's not here for long and that she needs to change outfits, and that she and whoever the F that was behind her is going to go. They have some stuff to do. I'm fine with that. Let's go. We all go the remaining flights of the stairs to my apartment. She unlocks it, and we all go in. I turn back and see that Chris shuts the door right in front of that other dude who is completely sure he's coming in with us. Yeah, right. Dana notices but says nothing. She knows. We go inside and look around, and of course the place is a mess, but I kind of already knew that. I see an ashtray on the window full of cigarette butts. On the coffee table, 2 cups, 2 wine glasses, 2 bowls. Most of my houseplants are already completely dead. Of course, she has had that guy over. Of course, she was smoking inside. Why not? Dana starts changing and putting on more makeup. I stay pretty quiet, just walking around, watering my houseplants, looking at the damage, and plotting my revenge. Chris and I talked before that if all of our hunches about the bad things turned out true, we wouldn't really say anything, but after visiting, just set the plans in motion to change the locks. So we do just that. Chris casually mentioned that I sent her the bills, and Dana says she's going to take a look at them. We talk some more, and everything is just overall awkward, more for her than us. When she's ready, we are all pretty much ready to leave, and we all go out, and she locks the apartment, and that guy is still waiting for her outside the apartment. We say our goodbyes and get in our cars. If they drive away, we start plotting. I end up calling my dad, who kind of knew about the situation. I told him we needed to change the locks to the apartment. He told us what to buy, so we have everything ready, and he would drive up tomorrow to do it. The next day rolls up. Dana should be at work. Dad is on his way. He had to drive 2 hours, and everything else is bought and ready to go. We go to the apartment, and Dad opens the door with his keys, and everything is still the same, and my dad is really taken by surprise. He makes some totally understandable remarks and gets to changing the locks. I start cleaning the place and washing the dishes, and Chris helps. Since Dana won't be able to get in the apartment anymore, I wanted it clean. I don't want old food in the fridge or dirty dishes and empty bottles everywhere and all the other mess. Her stuff we'll worry about later. There's nothing important, and I don't really live there at the moment. It doesn't take that long, and we're gone before Dana could be home from work. At around the time she would be at the door, not able to open it, Chris and I are at home and phones in hand, waiting for Dana to call. To our surprise, Jack calls Chris. He answers and puts it on speaker. Jack is asking why we changed the locks and that Dana is in complete distress and she can't get in the apartment and is left with her work purse, whatever's on her person, and nothing else. Jack and Chris talk for a while. Chris explains the situation, also mentioning the guy that has apparently been living there with her. We just found out through mutual friends that it was the same guy she got wasted with and left that night at the car meet, plus he's been staying there for a while. Chris pretty much tells him everything, and Jack is just not having it. In his eyes, Dana could do no such thing.
Jack, dude, stop being such a freaking simp, man.
Apparently, Jack said they've been going out almost every evening and could be considered a couple now. Chris and Jack finish up talking. Jack tells him that he is going to take Dana to his place for now, but that we should really figure this crap out because he's not taking her to move in with him. I could give 0 Fs. Later that night, Dana messaged me and sends me a really long paragraph, basically saying that she never agreed to pay anything, not true, and that I am the a-hole for bringing up any bills and utilities out of the blue. She doesn't remember any conversations about her paying anything, which is why she never answered, because she didn't know what to say. And I was just asking for money now for no reason. Now I was just changing the locks without a reason as well, and she can't get home. She didn't do anything wrong and wants at least some of her stuff for now and to talk about getting the rest. I was livid. Now I have to deal with gaslighting. However, I knew what to do. I remembered a time where we, Me, Chris, Dana, and Jack were at Mickey D's with a bunch of other friends. A good portion of the friend group all started talking about the fact that Dana recently moved into my place. Everyone was really happy that something had worked out for Dana, and we all talked about how it would be really easy for her to get on her feet by just paying the utilities at my place. We even discussed how my utilities were cheaper than everyone else's since my apartment is not at the center of the city and is pretty small. Remembering this gave me an idea. I wasn't done with her. I didn't care that now I had everything she owned at my place and she couldn't get to it. I didn't care that she didn't even have a change of clothes or her charger. I was more mad that she was now trying to gaslight me into believing that I never said she had to pay anything. So I made a group chat. Everybody who was at that table at McDonald's that night and a couple more of our mutual friends, just for the fun of it, some boyfriends and girlfriends, etc. And of course, Dana, Jack, and Chris. I think it was around 12 to 14 people in total. I sent a pretty long message, basically explaining the situation and asking about our conversation that night. Did I really say that Dana could live there for free? And the group chat blew up. No one could believe what Dana did, and she was getting dragged. Everyone remembered our conversation, and some friends even remembered Dana saying that she could maybe pay me something in rent when she got back on her feet, not only utility bills. I end up sending some screenshots from mine and Dana's chat, some other receipts, and everyone is dragging Dana even more and more. Dana had already told some of those people that I locked her out, but didn't really say why. Also, this group chat reveals that she owes a lot of money to some of these friends. She asked them to help out because I was asking her to pay ungodly amounts of rent each month. Dana, of course, left the chat. Jack stays and reads everything, not contributing, just reading. Amongst these friends is also the girl, 28, that got Dana her new job, Tina. We were not very close, but sometimes saw each other since our boyfriends are car guys. She is the most shocked and messages me privately. She writes all the things Dana has been saying behind my back to whoever will listen. Those things you can most likely guess. About the huge rent that I'm asking from nowhere, that I won't leave her alone about the money, how we're trying to break her and Jack apart, all of that. Tina and I end up meeting, and she says she can actually get Dana fired if I wanted to. I say no. OP says that would be a little too petty of me to do.
Thank you.
As much as I hate her now, I was actually thinking of giving her all of her stuff back because what would I do with it anyways? I also don't think I have the guts to leave a fellow girl with absolutely nothing. I actually was kind of sad for her. She doesn't have anywhere to go and absolutely no stuff to her name. A couple of days pass. Chris and Jack meet at work, and Jack says that the group chat night, she just drove away and blocked him. His eyes opened when he read everything, and it's a good thing he didn't even have a chance to see her after reading all that because he would have lost it. The three of us meet and we talk through it all. Now, some of his side of the story. Since the beginning, Dana never said anything about Tom. Of course, how could she? She behaved, talked, and acted like she was single. She had Jack wrapped pretty tight around her finger. She never told him where she lived exactly. Pickup and drop-offs were from the gas station near Tom's place, and managed to keep Tom a relationship and living with a man a secret until the move. We later found out that she told Tom that she was just out with friends. Tom broke up with her because someone, most likely Tom's friend, who knew that they were together had seen Dana and Jack kissing and told him, and he already suspected cheating, so that was all he needed. She pretty much gaslit Jack moving forward. When Jack asked about Tom just after they broke up and she moved to my place, she reminded him that she explicitly never said that she was single, that she was in love with Jack, and she wanted to break up with Tom at the time anyways, just to be with Jack. She manipulated him into not talking about it with anyone at all, which is why he didn't want to hear anything about those bills at the time. Dana just dug up some lies if the situation changed anywhere, and managed to keep the coast clear. When she moved into my place, they continued to meet about 3 or 4 times a week in the evenings, just driving around and falling in love. But apparently Dana wasn't as much falling in love if we remember the random guy at the car meet incident. And Jack, of course, knew nothing of this. He was under the impression that they were slowly becoming a couple and all that until the group chat night when all went to crap. He apologized for being a bad and completely blind friend. And it's okay, buddy. Women can pull the wool over our eyes sometimes. Now, back to Dana and how she didn't get her crap back. To recap, some time had passed since the group chat night. None of her friends were speaking to her anymore. Some just sent her passive-aggressive texts and asked for their money back. She didn't respond. We didn't hear from her for 2 months. Chris, through some work colleagues, heard where Dana was living. It turned out that she had contacted one of her ex-colleagues at Chris's work, someone who was a pretty good friend of hers, and begged for a place to stay. He, male in his mid-30s, and his wife, female 27, had a house in the city, and the second floor was pretty much empty. So she was now living there. Let's call this couple Rachel and Ross, just for fun. Chris told Ross that if Dana wanted her stuff back, she had to come to our place, apologize, and tell us what the heck was going on with her, because that was what I wanted to receive if I was to give back her stuff. An apology and an explanation. Because I could understand anything if you were truly sorry and understood what you did and tried to fix the whole thing. I still understood that Dana had not had an easy life, and that can really cause a person to do weird and awful stuff, especially if she was in survival mode with depression and anxiety and was just trying to find her way. Ross also spent some time with Chris talking about the whole apartment situation and was really surprised to hear some of that stuff. He said Dana told him something, but not that, and he wanted to talk a little to his wife before they made any decisions. He took that conversation home, and a couple of days later, we were invited to their house. We didn't know what was happening, so we just went there blindly. We didn't know if Dana was going to be there or not, and she wasn't, because it turns out after Ross came home and started to ask questions, Dana took whatever new stuff she had gotten herself, jumped in her car, and left. She didn't have much stuff, so moving out from there was pretty easy. Ross and Rachel wanted to know more about the situation, so they invited us over. They made us a nice dinner, and we talked everything out. We told them the whole story, and they were shocked. Dana had told them that we broke up, her and her boyfriend, and because of us, she didn't have a place to stay. And the same story about the apartment, that I changed the locks out of nowhere, that I wanted her to pay some crazy amount for rent every month, and when she couldn't, I just changed the locks, and now she had no stuff. They felt really bad for her and invited her to live in their house on the second floor. It was empty anyway, with just some basic furniture. Turns out she did stupid things with them too. She would eat all of their food, not buying any. Rachel made dinner for everyone, and Dana would eat more than half of it. Yes, she was a stress eater. Ross's snacks were gone. She would sometimes snarkily comment that he bought things she didn't like. Since she had no stuff, she used a lot of Rachel's stuff. Toiletries, the hairdryer, the hair straightener, clothes, socks, shoes, nail polish, towels, makeup, chargers. One time, she even left the hair straightener plugged in for a whole night and burned the entire wooden floor underneath it. Good thing the house didn't catch on fire. Ross and Rachel started to see that Dana could be a problem and began talking with her about the food, about coming home late at night, and the loud music from the car when someone dropped her off back at the house, about the frickin' straightener almost burning the house down. She had consumed everything from their bar, and a lot of other small problems they were having. Dana didn't listen and continued with her behavior. And the conversation that Ross and Chris had the first time, well, that put everything together for Ross, and he went home to confront her, and she just left. After that talk with Ross and Rachel, I realized she didn't deserve her stuff back. I gave her an option. She could have just apologized to me, and she could have her stuff back. But no. Later that week, me and some friends from the group chat went to my place to pack it up and donate most of it. I kept nothing. By the way, you can listen to a whole lot of something, and it's full episodes with stories quite similar to this. Just go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen to podcasts, search OK Storytime. And there you have it, folks. We're easy to find. Do you want to know how she lost her new job? She and Tina got in an argument at work, and she slashed Tina's tires.
Dana.
Ooh, there was security camera footage, and the boss fired her immediately.
Oh, Dana.
Later, we found out that after she was living in a small, shared apartment with 2 Indian guys. Sometimes I think that the whole thing actually was crazy for her, and she was truly left with nothing, and is living a crazy, crazy life now. But at the same time, I really did nothing wrong, and I'm kind of glad karma got to her. Bye. You almost did nothing wrong, except for the donating all of her crap stuff. But at the end of the day, in a way, you were kind of going to do the same thing. Because I doubt she was going to come get it. You've given her ammunition that she could theoretically weasel her way back in and become another headache in your life.
Indeed.
My friends mocked my wife in our arranged marriage, so I cut them off.
Snip, snip. That's all I got.
My wife and I have been married for close to a year now. She was born and raised in India her entire life, while I have been raised here in America since I was 4 years old. By the way, this comes from user Concerned Husband 2821, and if you want to submit your own stories, you can submit them at the r/OK Storytime subreddit. As you all saw the title, this was an arranged marriage, and I met her around 2 weeks before the wedding. Despite not knowing each other for a longer period of time, we have grown very close, and I care for her deeply. My main group of friends, however, many whom I have known since college, have joked and made fun of our marriage and my wife. For example, we were at a dinner party a couple months ago and my friends were talking about something. My wife then commented, but because she has a pretty pronounced Indian accent, she butchered a few words and everyone laughed and began to impersonate and make fun of her.
I mean, honestly, your friends sound lame for making fun of your wife or something like that, but I do also understand maybe the raised eyebrows at the arranged marriage just because it's a difference.
It's a culture. It's a very different cultural thing. And,
like
but
if
still,
Keon, if you told me that you just met a girl 2 weeks ago and then you were getting married, I I'd be like, are you sure about that? Like,
I can see how much this hurt her, and for the rest of the night she was silent and later on asked to leave early. This was the only time this occurred in front of her, but many times when I have gone out with my buddies, they casually make fun of her accent or her confusion when it comes to American traditions and customs. Every time I tell them, enough, they say, I'm just joking, man, chill out, or don't take it so seriously. No, your friends suck.
yeah, dude, it's like when you make it clear that you have a boundary, and the boundary is stop disrespecting my wife to my face.
And they're like, we're just joking, but we're gonna keep doing it.
Yeah, those guys they suck. They don't respect you.
In addition, there have been a few times when I've gone out or talked with coworkers, and when they begin to talk about or complain about their relationships, I chime in. They basically ignore or make snide remarks regarding what I have to say. I specifically remember one time where a coworker said, "What do you know about marriage? Yours is not even an actual marriage." I suppose I'm asking for help on how to deal with these sorts of comments, as I'm sure more will come throughout my marriage. My wife is naturally just very shy, so I know she won't try and defend herself when crap like this happens. That's where you come in, OP. She hasn't been able to make any friends since coming here and refuses to come out with me because of my friends. I know she feels homesick at times, and I really want to help her come out of her shell because she's a wonderful person and her happiness is extremely important to me. So, I suppose I have two questions. 1, how can I deal with my friends and coworkers? And 2, how do I help my wife gain more confidence and come out of her shell? And we have some relevant comments. But before we go to those comments, 1, what Dakota said, it's time for you to really cement that process through their brains of, hey, you see this? Close-minded? How about we open that a little bit and like be a little bit more comforting and let my wife, make her feel more welcome than being such a-holes about it, and stop making fun of her. That's my wife. I don't care what you think. It's my culture.
Exactly.
My wife. I love her no matter what. And if you guys don't want to, do that, we're done. I don't care. You don't need those people in your life. You can always make new friends or meet new people. That's not too hard these days.
Yeah, honestly, at this point, I would probably lay down a 2 to 3 strike rule for, depending on how close. If these are really, really close friends you've had for years and years and years, right? Maybe they just aren't aware of how serious you are about this. So I would lay down maybe the ultimatum or the strikes where it's like, if you continue to disrespect my wife in front of me, I will be cutting you out of my life.
Yeah. And speaking of comments, comment number 1. How can I deal with my friends and coworkers? Firmly, but politely. I'm just joking, man. Chill out. You might be joking, but I'm not. Don't take it so seriously. That is my wife you are talking about, and I am taking it seriously. And how do I help my wife gain more confidence and come out of her shell? Are there any interests your wife has? And are there any clubs in your area that correspond to her interests? Are there Indian communities in your area? Also, you might want to do a fun activity together, like dancing, assuming she likes to dance, or go swimming or cycling together, preferably something outdoorsy. OP replies, yes, in fact, there is one Indian community/club she has been interested in joining. I'm hoping she feels a bit more at home there. And she really enjoys cycling. I think that's an excellent idea. Thank you. Another reply. Also, taking some college classes could really help here. Courses on spicy sleep and culture, for example, delve into these issues and teach crass American college students there are many ways of being married. Basic cultural anthropology, sociology classes. Your friends sound incredibly self-centered and immature. So maybe reading Christopher Lash's Culture of Narcissism together, a classic, really don't need to finish it, would help her understand this particular subculture. OP replies, my wife is actually planning on doing her master's degree here, LOL. She's currently looking for a job to save up more money. But yes, I agree that the experience of going to college itself will help her feel more comfortable and at home in this environment. And we have an update. Good comments.
Let's go. Yeah, good comments.
After reading through the comments on my previous post, it really surprised and shocked me how many people thought my friends were racist, bigots, or a-holes. It struck a chord deep in me with how many outsiders had such a different perspective on the issue, where I thought I wasn't being firm enough and my friends were just ignorant in terms of ramifications of their actions. Whereas the vast majority of commenters thought they were just plain a-holes and racist.
I will say, though, that just like belittling her for having an Indian accent, that's super racist.
Yeah. Or making fun of her for it.
Yeah, that's unacceptable.
I guess I was hoping if I was simply firm in my resolve and told them in no uncertain terms if their disrespectful behavior were to continue, we could no longer continue socializing. They would see the error in their ways and hopefully apologize to my wife.
Oh, I bet you this is going to be OP losing all his friends.
And that's okay. If you make new friends, it is a possibility.
It is what it is. You don't want to be friends with these people anyway if this is how they're going to treat your wife.
Let's see what happens. So, yesterday, I asked him if we can all meet up to discuss something important. And after work, We all went out for drinks. Once we started talking, I told them how disrespectful they were being towards both my wife and I. I addressed how much it had hurt my wife to be made fun of just because of her accent and ignorance when it comes to American customs. I continued by saying that I understand we usually joke about these sorts of topics, such as race, but now I realized how wrong it was and it all needed to stop. They did not take me seriously at all. Immediately, everyone began commenting on how much of a witch I'd become since getting married, and I was always getting so prissy and sensitive about crap we used to laugh about all the time.
Are all these guys single? Do they not understand like slam dunking on them all the time? They wouldn't be upset about that. That's come on. Who are these people?
If we're friends, we would respect each other's, boundaries and lines if we asked about it. If we were friends, but it seems like these guys aren't your friends.
Yeah, for real.
They continue by saying I never enjoyed myself anymore and how I'd basically abandoned our group because I was always spending time with my wife. I was consistently trying to respond or defend myself, but the effers kept interrupting me and wouldn't let me say anything. They also said I stopped partying like I used to, like, what the F? Sorry, I'm not interested in getting crap-faced at the club every Friday night. We're not in college anymore. You're also married. Like, you can still do that, but, like, you want to, like, be an adult. It's time to grow up.
Things change. Oh, my God, I never see you at the club. That's funny. I never see you at the Runestones.
In the club, we're not fam anymore.
There is no fam in the club. I don't take my fam to the club.
Then, one of the guys says, are you being all uptight because you're not getting laid anymore? I'm surprised, man. If my wife was as hot as my wife's name, I'd be banging the crap out of her every day.
Oh my God. So wait, so he does have a wife. This other guy has a wife and doesn't understand why OP doesn't want them to slam dunk on her. What is wrong with these people?
They are just taking those comments and turning them into like, oh, you're wrong, we're right. We can't take the criticism because you're wrong. You're not getting any spicy sleep. You are a loser now because your wife just came. You're not you, man. You're like, no, you're still you, OP. You just grew up, and they are stuck in the past.
Yeah.
Then all of them effing laughed like he'd made a hilarious joke instead of being a massive a-hole. After that, I was done with him and told him I no longer wanted to socialize with people who were being completely disrespectful and held bigoted attitudes towards my wife, and then I left.
Yes.
Once I got home, my wife immediately asked what was wrong. I suppose I must have still looked pissed off over what transpired. I told her how sorry I was over the way I handled the situation and how she would no longer have to deal with their mocking and bullying. She looked extremely guilty that I said this and told me I didn't have to sacrifice my happiness and friendships just to please her, and I should continue hanging out with them if I really wanted to. I don't know. I'm kind of embarrassed to admit, but I started crying like a baby. This woman who left everything behind, her life, her family, her friends, to travel halfway across the world to a completely different country, all on the promise that I would provide her a better life, thought this entire situation was her fault and was saying I should prioritize my happiness over her own feelings or well-being. It broke me. It made me realize what a selfish prick I was. And there's no way I can segue this. There's no way I can segue this. Because that was really sweet. That was so sweet.
Also, where did the I'm a selfish guy come from? But I don't, I feel like OP wasn't being selfish. OP just had their eyes open that their friends are trash, you know? Like,
yeah, and I'm sure she understands how much, this is your life and it's going to become together your brand new life. So the fact that she wanted you, she didn't want you to lose your friends. She cares for you as much as you care for her, which is very sweet. And that's very loving. But this isn't something that you need to worry about. You know your friends were D-bags and a-holes that you don't need in your life, and you guys can make brand new friends that have common interests with you and that support you and will be there for you and not turn on you. There's a little bit left to this story, but I think we kind of hit that on the head there.
Yeah.
I think the last comment I have to make before we finish this up is you may have lost your old friends, but you're making a brand new friend with your wife here.
That's right.
Like, she's not going to resent you. She understands that you're putting her first before anyone else, before yourself now. So
it really sounds like it's time for a new chapter. These guys just want you to go out and get wasted and hook up with chicks. Like, they're living in the past.
Yeah. No, you have a brand new life. This is a new chapter, and this is a new experience for you and her. I think this is going to be great because all you have to do is just be there for each other.
Sounds pretty beautiful to me, baby.
I love it. Let's go and finish the story up. So, I spent over an hour convincing her this wasn't her fault at all, and that she should never believe my feelings are more important than hers. And whenever she's feeling hurt or angry, she should express those feelings without ever thinking it was wrong to do so. I'm very saddened by how long I had allowed this to transpire, and I have a ton of making up to do. Also, I just wanted to express my thanks to Reddit. This was the main reason I posted an update. Your guys' comments really helped take the wool off my eyes and understand the reality of the situation. We're in a much better place now because of it, and I truly do appreciate everything. Thank you. And we still have some comments here. Comment number 1, all of these guys are single, right? OP replied, no, the one who made the spicy sleep comment is married. Another is engaged, and the rest are single. Another reply, wow. So that guy was also insulting his own wife with that comment? Classy. OP replies, yeah, he treats his wife like crap and cheats on her consistently. I have no respect for that man. Comment number 2. I think you and your wife will start falling in love very soon, if you haven't already. Smiley face. OP replied, I actually do love her very much. I just haven't told her yet. You should start telling her.
Yeah, just tell her. I mean, look, you broke down and crying because you're like, oh my God, she's so sweet. My wife is so sweet. It makes me feel bad.
Well, this is the reason why. I'm not very good at expressing myself, I guess. I've also never said I love you in a relationship before, so I have no idea how to do it. Do you have any advice when should be the best time? Another reply, say it when you feel the urge to say it. It doesn't matter if it's at dinner, snuggling in bed, or just doing the dishes. When you look at your wife or think about her and the words rise up in your head, say them. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Saying I love you makes it a perfect moment. That is so sweet. That is so sweet.
A little sweetie pies.
That's so sweet. Hey, Dakota.
Hey, what?
I love you.
I love you too.
And guess what, guys? We love you too. That's the end of that story. It looks like OP is going to have a happy wife and a happy life. Right. That's all you need. And you make some good friends along the way that support you.
My husband has a work wife. He doesn't realize that it's ruining our marriage.
Oh, babe, I thought I could just have 2 wives.
I thought I have 2 wives.
I thought I was in Severance.
I, 31 female, am at my wit's end with my husband's 32 male coworker, Sarah, 30 female, and his complete inability to see what's happening. I'm not usually one for Reddit, but I need to know if I'm going crazy here. By the way, this comes from Honeybella Mama, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, where do I even start? 3 years ago, my husband Mark started working with Sarah. At first, I tried to be welcoming. I invited her to barbecues, included her in group outings, and genuinely tried to be friendly. Big mistake. She spent the entire time making backhanded comments about everything from my career, oh, you're just a yoga instructor? How peaceful. To my cooking, I guess not everyone can master basic seasoning. The real problem, that's a slap in the face.
Them's fighting words right there.
The real problem is that Mark thinks she's just being funny. Mark.
Yes. Okay.
Mark likes his work wife. Mark likes his work wife.
Oh, another Mark liking his work wife. Typical
Mark.
Last month, she literally threw away the anniversary mug I gave him because it clashed with the office aesthetic. When I got upset, Mark said I was being too sensitive and that Sarah just has high standards for office decor.
I'm breaking up with Mark. Or at the very least, I'm like, you're sleeping on the couch until you understand how dumb that was.
No, I'd be like, dude, don't freaking talk to me about office decor. I'm sorry. What?
Yeah, who cares about office decor?
What?
Who would prioritize office decor over a gift from their actual partner?
And to be clear, this is not, crazy regardless, but like, this is not her saying, hey, can you take this mug home? You know, it's clashing with the office decor,
right?
Which is still crazy. She threw it away.
Yeah.
It was a mug with our wedding photo on it. Some greatest hits from Sarah. She scheduled a mandatory work dinner on our anniversary. She convinced Mark not to take a promotion because it would mean working with a different team. She posts daily photos of them together with hashtags like work power couple and work spouse. Your man's stupid. I'd break up with him for being stupid.
Stop doing this, Mark.
She tells everyone at their office that she takes better care of him than I do. She changed his coffee order and now tells everyone she trained him right. The worst part, my husband is completely blind to all of this.
Think, Mark. Think.
How blind can you really be? You know?
Open your eyes.
At a certain point, you're not blind. You're willfully.
He's probably actively having an affair with his work
wife.
Yesterday, he actually told me about how Sarah said our new house, which we spent months searching for, was charming in a starter home kind of way. He repeated this while laughing. I tried talking to him about it, but Sarah has convinced him I'm just insecure. She's managed to insert herself into every aspect of our lives. They text constantly, even on weekends. She knows his schedule better than I do. She rearranged his entire desk and office wardrobe because his style was too suburban husband. That's what he is. Last week, I just marriage counseling. He looked genuinely confused. He, of course, went and talked to Sarah about it. I found out from another coworker that she's been telling people that Mark and I are going through a rough patch and that she's just being a good friend by giving him someone to talk to. We weren't going through anything until she started this nonsense. The breaking point? I stopped by his office to surprise him with lunch. I know, but it was his birthday and Sarah was supposedly out sick. Guess who was there? Sarah. She'd miraculously recovered and bought him a cake that said, "To my work hubby," with a photo of them from the office holiday party. She saw me and said, "Oh, Amy, you came too. How nice. Mark, you didn't tell me your real wife was coming."
Well,
Real wife?
Divorce. I've been here this entire time.
I think this would activate like the sleeper cell
I'd
in
be
me. I'd become like Moon Knight.
Yeah.
I would just black out and wake up.
Yeah, and she'd be on the floor. I'm not crazy, right? This woman is trying to destroy my marriage while my husband stands there grinning like it's all some big joke. What do I do? Divorce seems extreme, but I'm running out of options here. And edit, I should have stated that the promotion wasn't one that would increase his salary, but his title. It would give him more leadership experience. It still blows my mind that he turned it down just so he could stay on the same team as her. Highly suspicious. And edit, I should have told the mug story in its entirety. She accidentally broke the mug.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. And she accidentally has done everything, right? It's all a big accident.
I noticed it was gone when I was visiting him one day and I asked him about it. He said she accidentally knocked it over and then later he repeated a joke she made about how it didn't fit the office aesthetic. Yeah, there are comments and there's an update, but the aesthetic is that you are not his wife in the office.
Yeah, the aesthetic is that you are not married to your wife, and instead you're married to this, honestly, a really cringy pick-me girl.
So cringy. I hate her. Oh my God. I think you have to have a conversation. I mean, you've already had a conversation with your husband, but you have to be like, hey, she is destroying our marriage.
Yeah.
You have to put up boundaries with her or we have to go through a lot of marriage therapy because this isn't working.
You need to be
You're being
honest
incredibly
about how this is
disrespectful.
making you feel.
Yeah.
Like, it's ultimatum time. It's like, if you can't see this, honestly, that changes everything that I think about you. If you're so blind to this, I don't even know why I would want to stay with you anyway.
Top comments. Medieval Misfit says Sarah would not be able to sabotage your marriage if your husband wasn't allowing it.
Facts.
Ford Most 1933. You have a husband problem. Go to counseling and get professional help to communicate your concerns. Remind him that he's married to you, not Sarah. So her opinions shouldn't matter when it comes to your marriage. Good luck, but be prepared for the worst. Late Butterfly 5997 says, yeah, this guy isn't oblivious. He's complicit. Exactly. He knows what's happening and he likes the attention. He is happy to let his girlfriend disrespect his wife. And there is an update. I can't imagine he's so oblivious that he just can't.
Can the wife go to his HR?
But there is an update. Hi, I31 female posted a few days ago. I really didn't expect my post to blow up the way it did. I got so overwhelmed by all the comments that I haven't responded to any. I want to address everyone who says it's fake. I understand why you think that, but this is my personal hell. I only listen to Reddit stories on TikTok, but when this reached its boiling point, I just needed a place to talk. So I made an account and tried to yell into the void. Well, the void turned out to be less empty than I thought. Now to why everyone is here. The update. Before I talked to my husband, 32 male, I decided to do some investigation. I started with his phone and read all the messages between him and Sarah. She badmouthed me a few times. He did nothing to defend me, but didn't engage either. She was flirty. He wasn't really flirty back. They talked a lot, and he praised her frequently for her work ethic and intelligence. I didn't see anything about cheating. I checked his email, nothing. I checked his work email, nothing. I looked through our other devices, nothing. I searched high and low for a second phone, nothing. Everything I found was always dancing that line. Nothing was outright cheating, but here are the things I found that did hurt my feelings. 1, he has lunch with her and only her every day in the office. They don't really like anyone else, so they'll criticize others and say, let's talk more at lunch. They're serving XYZ today. He'd say things like, I'm sure if you were a wife, you would XYZ. He always kept it as a wife and not my wife, but it's still upset.
Yeah.
She admitted to breaking the mug on purpose.
Oh,
Girl,
accident.
if you don't get away from him, I am throwing you in a volcano.
He didn't get upset with her, just said, yeah, the photo gifs are kind of corny.
Excuse me? Excuse me? You're going to call a thoughtful mug corny?
You're to call the mug of your wedding photo mug corny?
Hey, what is this vibe? It's like it feels like weaponized incompetence.
But it's not even, I feel
Where
like
he's like,
it's not even incompetence. I feel like it's like he knows what he's doing.
Right. But the way he's trying to play it is it's like,
oh, yeah.
what do
He's
you
like,
mean? It's like I'm saying a wife instead of my wife. Or it's like, we're just like joking around. It's like my work wife. Like,
I confronted him. I laid it all out. And while he wasn't upset, he did try to brush things off. He said I was being sensitive and overreacting. I told him if we didn't have a real conversation about this, I would file for divorce. Good. That got his attention and he sat down with me. He admitted that at first he found it odd that Sarah was trying so hard. He saw her trying hard with all the men in the office. The more attention she gave him, the more he enjoyed it. And the more he responded, the more attention she gave. Until she just had her sights on him. He knew some of the other men were envious, and he liked that too. He admitted that eventually he just got too deep. He said he knew it was wrong, but he had gotten to the attention and didn't want her to move on to another man. So he indulged her sometimes at my expense. He said it was just nice to have two women in the two major parts of his life, stating that he knew we'd rarely see one another, so what was the harm? I'm about to harm you.
you know exactly what you've literally just
I'm about to harm you.
fully laid out exactly what the harm is now. Which is that you're like a little boy who's like getting attention from a girl for the first time, like he's like 14.
I hate this guy.
Like what is wrong with you? You're a fully grown man
Fully
with
grown
a
man.
wife. Get the attention you're wanting from your freaking wife, dummy.
He reiterated that he'd never, ever physically cheated with her, but admitted it could be called an emotional affair. It was painful. I won't hide that. I mean, really painful, like I wasn't enough. I told him from this point on, he needed to stop communicating with Sarah and asked to be transferred or switch jobs altogether. Now, folks, I mean it when I tell you this. He lost his. He began raising his voice, saying things like, he never cheated. It was all above board, and I couldn't control who he talked to at work. But you can't control who you divorce.
Divorce.
He called me a self-absorbed person and a control freak. He told me I had no idea how hard it was, how much stress he had in the office, and that his personal relationship with Sarah helps a lot. Taking it away would just damage his mental health. It got so bad that I started crying. I couldn't take it anymore and decided to leave. Good. I packed a small bag and called my mother-in-law. She's the only family I have here. I gave her a rundown of what was going on. She just offered her home to me. I'm staying here and just hoping my husband calms down so we can revisit this. Divorce, girl. Divorce. Divorce.
Or at least, at the very least, separation.
Divorce.
Like, it needs to be like, you guys got to work this out
It's
separately.
like, you know when at like stadiums and like games they do defense.
Yeah, divorce.
We're going divorce.
Well, I think if you really want to like find out like is this salvageable, it's like if you just separate and then he immediately starts hooking up with this trollop at the office.
I just think the fact that when OP expressed concerns, he was like, "No, you can't do that." And he just started screaming at her.
Well, yeah, of course,
Despicable.
because he's clearly hyper defensive.
I want to work it out. I love him more than anything. You can't work this out. I don't think you can work it out. I will try harder to answer comments on this post. I will definitely update if something new happens. And there are some comments. Different ad says, "Welp, I kind of figured he wasn't that clueless. This is a full-blown emotional affair. From experience, things will only escalate till they are in bed together. Protect your peace because he sure doesn't give a dang about your feelings. Stay strong." Toker Sucks says, "Jump right from admitted it could be called an emotional affair to he began raising his voice, saying things like you never cheated. OP made a valiant effort, but it doesn't seem like this marriage can be saved." And OP says, "My mother-in-law's on my side and told me point blank that he is wrong."
Yes.
Good mother-in-law.
He is.
However, she said she doesn't want to get in the middle because she doesn't want to damage the relationship with either one of us. She told me I'm welcome as long as I need, but she won't bring up anything to her son until he brings it up to her. And I want to bring up that you guys can listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app and search up OK Storytime. Yay! That was so smooth.
That was the
so very
smoothest.
fun. My mother-in-law agrees his actions are wrong, but doesn't want things to escalate or to damage her relationship with either one of us, so she is staying out of it unless he contacts her. As for my husband, he has tried to reach out. He's called, left messages, texted. I let him know I was safe and left it at that. He will message or call every few hours, but we haven't talked. And that is the end of the story. I think it's divorce. I don't think this can be saved or salvaged.
I think it's like, at the very least, it would require like very intense therapy to
Yeah.
figure out why he was like
Absolutely, but it
so
doesn't seem
in
like he's
need
receptive
of
to that.
the emotional validation at work from this girl.
Truly.
Who he did say is like talking to all of the men in the office like this.
Yeah.
But then he's just like, I need it to be able to get through my day. And it's like,
It's so
shut
hard.
up,
like,
dude.
everyone has a hard job. Get over
Yeah,
it.
shut up, dude. Shut
You're
your
probably
face.
just like sending freaking emails. You probably have a fake email job.
You're
You stink.
gross
You
for
freaking
having
stink.
a work wife is supposed to be like a
Ew.
joke. Like not then it became like real. She's breaking your anniversary gifts. Stop it.
Get her
Stop
out of
it.
there. Get her
Get
out
some
of
help.
there. But that is the end of that story.
I told my partner he needs to find a better job for our family. He still hasn't, and it's been 5 years.
You gotta find a better husband.
My partner and I started dating in college and got married after we graduated, years later. I've always been the driven one in the relationship and pushed him to take school seriously and graduate. I came from a lower middle class family and had a job since I was legally able to work. I have always paid my cell phone, bought my car, paid for my college by working full-time through school and taking classes when I could, or taking out student loans to help. I can't remember a time when I ever asked my parents for money because I knew they didn't have it. My parents fought about money a lot. By the way, this comes from Grow With Me 22 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. Even in grade school, if I wanted to go to the movies or shopping for school clothes, I worked and paid for those. My partner grew up in a big house and never really had to want for things, especially after his dad remarried. He married into a family with a lot of money, like 1% kind of money. My partner went on insane trips, had a credit card through school, and everything paid for until he failed school, and his dad kind of cut him off. Yeah, that's crazy having a credit card that someone else pays for.
Yeah.
That's whoa. That's when I had to step in and push him to finish. He would have stayed out of school and worked at a restaurant had I not pushed him to finish. Fast forward to us getting married. We were living in a family member's rent house, and I didn't understand why we weren't focusing on buying a home. We started trying for a baby, and when we got pregnant, I talked to him about how important it was to have a place that was ours when we brought our baby home. He would listen and agree, but never really took any actionable steps towards saving or anything.
That's the thing. I think he has just a totally different take on money.
Yeah,
And just
just
totally
life.
different relationship to it.
Yeah.
Because I've talked to rich people before and I'm like, y'all don't know how to deal with money.
Right. It's just kind of always there for them.
Yeah, they're just like, oh,
You don't have to worry about it. But sometimes you do.
Sometimes you got to.
It wasn't until I practically had a meltdown and found the house to look at and gave him an ultimatum that we bought our first house. His job at the time had him gone for weeks at a time, which wasn't ideal with the new baby, so I started talking to him about what his plans were so that he could be home with us and work. He quit his job and started working for a close family member who ran a devil's lettuce grow, making next to nothing, and kept telling me that it was going to go somewhere. That his boss had him on the path to make 6 figures and that he would make commission on brokered sales, etc. Needless to say, this never happened. He was able to get our kids on insurance paid for by the company, and since our cars were used for work, he was able to have the car payment paid for by the company. I was working in a very competitive industry, which had me gone a lot, so our child went to daycare around 3 months old. I hated my job, but I was the breadwinner, and I felt like I was trapped even though it was a super toxic environment and not good for my mental health. I spoke with my partner regularly about this, and he promised that he was looking for jobs related to his degree, which would have paid much more, but he could never find anything. This went on for years. He is still looking for a job 5 years later. During the pandemic, I was able to secure a work from home job, making more money than I was before, and it's such a better environment. But this is where the house of cards start to fall. About a year ago, my partner comes home panicked because the grow lost their license to grow the plants.
Oh, that's important.
They lost it because he missed the deadline for renewal. His fault. Dude. He had to let everyone go. The business was not bringing in revenue and actually lost thousands of dollars because they had to destroy everything currently in the grow since legally they weren't supposed to have it. Oh, wow.
Sucks.
Wow.
Just smoke it all.
There you go. Problems are
Yeah, they're
dealt
like,
with.
we have to get rid of it.
When I was talking to him about it, I asked him to really focus on getting a different job because he said something along the lines of, I wasn't really trying before, like I told you. Yeah, like this time I'll actually do it because before I wasn't doing anything.
Before
actually.
I was like 20%. This
Even-
time, fully committed.
Right, even though I told you I was looking for a job,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
wasn't.
yeah,
So
yeah.
this time it'll be different.
For
I'll actually find one.
sure.
Don't worry. For years, I came home crying, stressed out, and upset because I was so miserable at my job, and he was lying to me about trying to find a job so that I could get out of my current position. I cried to him about not getting to see my baby because they were asleep when I left early in the morning and asleep when I got home late at night, and he was lying to me about trying to find a job so that he could help with the burden of financial security. That's so upsetting.
I don't like this guy.
For years.
Years. She brought it up years ago.
That's insane. It's been a year and he still has not found a job. Oh, so he's actually looking now.
Yeah,
and he
he's
still hasn't
actually
found
looking.
a job a
is-
year later.
It's not doing. His active looking is bad.
It's so bad. He spent 8 months leaving in the morning and going to his family member's house to help with odd end jobs and acted like he was still working. Only to find out 2 months ago that he was not getting a paycheck anymore. That's insane. You have a child. You have a child. This is a family you need to contribute to. I asked him to help me come up with a budget, take finance classes because he has no idea how to manage finances. I have investment accounts set up for our kids, a 401k, and short-term investment accounts for us. I have a small emergency fund. He doesn't even have a savings account. This past year has been super challenging for me mentally, and I've gotten on antidepressants to help manage the anxiety and depression I've felt. This is such a long story. To shorten it a bit, we had to open a new bank account because my partner's paycheck was coming from a business that is not federally legal. Our bank account sent us a letter with a cashier's check with our entire bank account asking us to not try and open an account with them again. You got rejected by the bank? It said, here's your money back. We don't want it.
No, thank you.
My partner went and opened an account that approves, but because I was working, he set the account up and I was not initially added. I asked him to please just help manage our finances since I was handling everything else. I found out a few weeks ago that he was no longer getting a paycheck, that he let our homeowner's insurance renew without looking at the new fee, that he started secretly charging their health insurance to his credit card and making our car payment. But you know what's never a secret is us going live on YouTube every weekday at 3 p.m. PST. If you want to join it, just tap our profile.
Tap it.
Go tap it. Any final thoughts before we
Leave
jump in?
him. Leave him. He's adding literally nothing. And you've been dealing with this for 5 years.
Yeah, he's actually taking away.
He's
in a
taking.
sense.
He's taking. And
He's taking.
I'm sick of it. I'm
Sick of
sick.
it. I have been busting my butt and making the most money I've ever made in my life, and we are living paycheck to paycheck because he lied to me about an additional $2,000 a month that we were spending, and leaving out the fact that he was no longer getting paid. Not only that, every single thing he does, he has to ask me about. Like, he has no intuition or initiative to do things on his own. I don't know how to move forward. I can't trust him. If he's not lying, he's being vague and leaving stuff out. I just feel resentful and like I'm drowning. Like I'm just watching all of my goals sink under the weight of his decisions. I am burnt out and lonely. Like I'm doing this all alone and he's just an extra child that I have to plan for. And that's the end. That's the end of that story.
Yeah, you need to leave him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at
not
least
doing
I think that
anything.
is the best best way forward because he's not contributing. You're stressed out because you have to explain everything to him.
Yes.
And he's just like another child that is also just actively taking all of your money.
Right. Like you have to do and pay for everything.
Yeah, you have to fix all of his mistakes.
Yes. And it's just like, yeah, I feel like you just say like, you know, either step it up or I'm out here.
Yeah.
I feel like this,
I can't do
I'm
this
usually
anymore.
against ultimatums, but this feels like a
it's like you
perfectly
need
reasonable time.
This is not working anymore. I feel like I am alone in this partnership.
Yes. And I can't financially pay for us because I'm living paycheck to paycheck. Don't want to live like that anymore. We have a child. So
yeah.
Peace out. Deal with it on your own. I'll see you when I drop off the kids.
There you go.
Yeah.
But that is the end of that story.
That's the end.
And the end of
And
this
that's
episode.
the end of the episode.
Mhm,
So if you love us, make sure to subscribe.
We love you.
And see you tomorrow.